There we go. Let's see. Okay. Can we hear me? Can we see me? Am I good? I got TikTok over here. I got YouTube over here. Let me know if we can see and hear me and all that good stuff. Nice. There we go. Awesome. Oh, what's going on, Anonymous? How you doing, man? I see some people in the lives, both lives already. Very good. Aloha, Jason, the building. Type shit. Man at the garden. Shout out to you. Philip is first on YouTube. Philip is also here. Okay, Philip is out here double dipping. Excellent. All right, you guys know what we're here for. It is I, Jace, your favorite scientist. Let's begin. You already know what we're here for. We're here to talk about all things social dynamics, evolutionary psychology, pickup, cold approach, dating, female nature, biology, and all other branches of science, including, but not limited to, the esoteric stuff, the weird heebie-jeebie spiritual stuff that no one else likes to talk about, that I like to fully indulge in because I am a certified crazy person. Let's go. So, let's get it. What do you have for me today? I am here to serve. I will do my best to answer all your questions, and if I do not know the answer to your question, I will let you know that I don't have the answer to the question, and I will do my best to find the answer for you. All right? To the best of my abilities, of course. Some things should never be discovered, I've come to find. At least not at certain times, right? So, yeah, let's get it. Oh shit, my water's almost finished. Good thing I have another one. Your boy gotta stay hydrated. You should stay hydrated. It's very important. The human body needs water. All right. So, let's begin. I got a complicated question I want your take on. Go ahead, Endgame. Oh shit, what's good, my boy? What's good, my boy? Mexicans and first as usual. Type shit, Mitz. Type shit. Bro, Jay says Mexicans, by the way, but bro, my hinge has been absolutely blowing up. I do need to show you and would appreciate the thorough texting course. For sure, man. For sure. Absolutely. You deserve it, by the way, after all the hard work you've put in, after everything I've seen you go through in the last 2-3 years. It's about time you had the world know what the fuck you're able to do. So I'm very proud of you. And absolutely, man, let me know what's going on. We can help you out with that. How long have I been live for? I just got here. I've been live for 3 minutes and 40 seconds. I hit the live buttons on YouTube and TikTok at the same time. So TikTok doesn't tell you how long you've been here. YouTube does. So I've literally been live for 3 minutes and 53 and 54 and 55 seconds and counting. You can't see this off camera, but this little girl over here is trying to say hi to you guys. Say hi, baby girl. All right, get down. All right, cool. I've got questions for you. Do you and me both have to tell ourselves we are invited? No. I'm inviting you. The moment I said ask me any questions, that was the invitation. Go for it. I know it's not the same for both of us. My thing is response. So, if anything, it works perfectly the way we do things already. You know, trying to talk in code. That's why the grammar doesn't make sense. I feel you. What's going on, Asia Gojo? Asia Gojo TV, is that the name? I hope I'm saying that right. My bad, man, if I'm not saying it right. But I saw Gojo in the name, and I'm like, interesting. Someone knows ball. I want to look up the books of that prophet who wrote on witchcraft, felt no energy whatsoever. I'm happy you didn't. That means you probably didn't read it. You just kind of looked over it, which is good, which is fine. It's a long setup. Not sure if you're taking requests ups on your live. We'll probably get to that. We'll probably get to that. I don't need a long setup. I just need the most important pieces of information. You know, the things like your age and her age would help. How long you've been going with each other, how the nature of the relationship, stuff like that would help. But other than that, I don't really need much else. I don't need like to know every little simple detail. Like, oh, and this one time she said this, and usually not as important as you might think it is. I just want to know where the major pivots and changes in emotional regulation happen during the relationship, and that usually is all I need to know. You know. Kind of knowing how TikTok, how many words we can put in the comments. Oh, they limit the number of words. Yeah, TikTok is kind of annoying. If you want longer stuff, which by the way, that's another thing you can do, my friend. If you feel like you have too many words to type out, come to YouTube. I don't think YouTube has a limit, from what I can tell you. I've been reading like paragraphs on YouTube in the past, so yeah. My homie just broke up with his baby mama. Chances she puts him on child support. I mean, if the whole child support thing is almost never a consequence of her actual need for survival. It sometimes is, but most of the time it's an attempt to try to inflict emotional damage of some kind. Right? The child support is designed not by the judicial system, but it is used by a lot of women as a means for emotional damage, as a means to inflict some kind of emotional pain, right? It's like women are very mirror-like with their pain. I always say that, and what I mean by that is they like to make you feel whatever they feel. The goal isn't resolution or justice or fairness or anything like that. The goal for them is always maximum damage in accordance to how they feel. So that's also a part of why they don't usually make the best judges and stuff and other serious positions. But it's for them, it's this made me feel this way. Whether it actually warrants the reaction they give to it or not is irrelevant to them. They just want to make you feel how they felt, and so they'll go and use whatever form of leverage that they believe they have over you for that. And child support just happens to be one of those things, man. Sometimes it's your livelihood, sometimes it's your reputation, sometimes it's whatever back deal you have with the woman in question. Women will find leverage wherever they can. They're really good at it. They're very good at it. That's why I always say, when you want to do certain things in business, it's almost always a good idea to talk to a woman about it first. Not because you need their permission, but because they're almost always going to be better at finding the points of leverage within transactionality than you can. So, keep that in mind. The actual chances of him getting on child support, though, really does come down to the nature of their relationship. What happened, how things ended, her current emotional state. That's what really matters. If the breakup was mutual, I think he's fine. If the breakup was her breaking up with him, ironically enough, he's also fine too. Child support almost only ever comes in play when she feels like she was wronged. And that's kind of what I've been trying to, explain to you with all that. It's like, does she feel hurt? Does she feel used somehow? Does she feel like the business is unfinished on her part? That's when child support comes into play. That's the honest to God truth about it. This may be off topic, but I really wanted a promotion at my job but didn't get it. How can I know why God said no? Because you clearly are built for better things. Doors close because other doors need to open. And you distract yourself by thinking you want this particular thing. But I mean, even though you really wanted a promotion, you don't want a promotion. Nobody wants a promotion at the job. That's what we tell ourselves. What you really want is safety, security, and certainty that comes with the promotion. The increase in pay, the whatever inflation in lifestyle you've been planning for, the improvement in your status or however it is you perceive your status. That's really what you want. You want to be safe. You want to feel good, and you want other people to respect you. Is getting that promotion the only way to get those things? No. And that's when you begin to realize like, oh, yeah, life can be a lot more flexible if I give it a chance to be. You feel me? What's going on, people? Damn, a lot of people on YouTube. Hello. Only trying to continue to improve, so please do go live more often because I have a lot of questions, but I forget a lot of them by the next. I feel you, man. I feel you. This is my second live this week. I'm gonna try to keep this up at least 2 or 3 times a week, maybe 4, if I can manage, for a while. So you guys always know me. It's not that I don't like to go live and I don't want to go live. It's just these platforms always try to restrict me. So it's hard to keep the momentum going. At least for me. Maybe if I start to become more, and that's kind of why I don't like going live. I'd rather just express myself the way I want, Let's see. Only try to continue. Oh yeah, what's up, Jay? What's going on, Jeff? You mentioned one has to provide positive and negative emotions in order to leave an impact. Yes, but what if I'm too much of a nice guy and not capable of providing negative emotion? That's not true. You're not incapable of providing negative emotion. Everybody is capable of providing negative emotion. You're just not comfortable doing it because you're either too attached to the identity of being a nice guy, like I can clearly see in the way you worded that, or you've just been trained your entire life to care more about the opinion and feelings of others than your own. That's really what, like, niceness as a guy is not just inauthentic. It's not real. It's also just a safe way of playing life. It's the non-risk taker way of going through life. I'm not gonna do anything to rock the boat. I'm not gonna do anything to hurt feelings. I'm not gonna do anything to make noise. Not to say that you should go out of your way to hurt people. I don't think that's the goal or the point. But I do think in your way of trying to make things happen for yourself, for others, you're naturally going to offend other people. It's just part of how it works. It's not that you're not a nice guy. It's that inevitably in doing stuff, other people are going to perceive what you're doing as not nice. Does that make sense? I use Kanye West as a perfect example of that. I don't think Kanye West is a bad person, even in the slightest. He's a sensitive guy. He's an emotional guy. He's not a bad person. I don't really think there's literally been anything wrong with just about anything he's ever said. In fact, I would be personally hard-pressed to find one thing that I didn't, after understanding the nuance behind it and why he said it and the context behind it, I don't think there's anything wrong with anything he's ever said. Oh, 400 years, that doesn't sound like slavery. That sounds like a choice. Yeah, it makes sense. 400, I mean, the same people that said, oh, Kanye, slavery wasn't a choice, are the same people, and I remember this very correctly, are the exact same people that cheered in the theater watching Black Panther when Michael B. Jordan's character, Killmonger, told T'Challa as he was dying, bury me in the ocean like my ancestors, because they understood that death was better than bondage. Okay, so cool. So you understand the concept of there being either death or slavery and choosing death over slavery. And it's okay to understand it when it comes to those unfortunate souls who jumped off the boats because they would rather die than make it to the Americas and become slaves. But then when Kanye says slavery is a choice, everyone's mad at him. I don't think he said that to be mean. I don't think he said that to get on people's nerves or to, step on people's toes. But that's the cost of authenticity. When you say things and do things, someone somewhere is gonna get fucking offended. It is what it is. So you can't afford to be nice, because by definition, especially by our current society's definition of niceness, what being nice means is just not offending anybody. And that's a very limiting way to live life. If you're gonna do something with your life, you're gonna offend someone out there. It is what it is. Fuck them. You have to care more about doing what you need to do and adding the value you need to add and creating the empire you need to create. A lot more than your fear of whatever backlash people might give you. That can't be You can't give a fuck about that shit. You can't. You can't live your life like that. You will be miserable and bitter and frustrated beyond measure. Don't do that to yourself. All right. So you're not incapable of, you know, being able to create negative emotions. You're just too scared to. So stop being a bitch. Right? Stop being a fucking bitch and start doing something. All right? Take a risk, make a choice, execute. All right. Okay. What's the difference between invitation and response? The response comes from external stimuli, and invitation comes from a person or a group of people. You know, invitations are a little more specific, if you will. Cooking dinner and texting the grocery store gal I told you of. She's mad responsive. Very good. She's cooking dinner for you right now. Excellent, excellent. Only trying to continue. I heard that one. Let's see. Yes, I am, Katie. I am live on both places. Adding on the positive and negative emotions, what are some of the negative emotions you can use as an example? The go-to negative emotions to spike up, especially when it comes to the context of talking to women, confusion is a big one. Anytime you have a woman unsure of her next move, that usually leads to an ability for you to provide certainty. Anger is a very good one. If you can get a woman angry, you're essentially able to trigger her her passion, right? The saying is, the opposite of love is not hate; it's indifference. So I would rather a woman hate me to the core of her soul than not feel or think anything about me at all. Right? So rather anger and frustration than nonchalance and indifference, right? And then confusion, anger. Honestly, sadness is a very good one. It's not as fast acting as the others. It's not as explosive, but sadness is very good. If you can get a woman to feel really downtrodden about you, that's a good thing. That's always a good thing. And the more the tears flow, the wetter she gets. And I mean that literally, by the way. So yeah, those are good ones. The easiest one to access by far though is gonna be confusion. That's the one that gets you the quickest pull in the shortest amount of time, especially in a cold approach situation. That's why a lot of push pulls and negs and stuff like that are designed to trigger confusion primarily. Like you walk up to a girl and you go, "You have the most beautiful resting bitch face I've ever seen." That's a confusing line. That's something designed to make her brain go, "Skirt? What does that mean? Huh?" And that will be the response you actually get. Like you say that to girls, you're either gonna get a very awkward laugh and a thank you, or you get a very, like, you can literally watch their brain short circuiting. Like, what does that mean? A beautiful resting bitch face? He called my face resting bitch face. That's not a good thing, but he called it beautiful? What the fuck? Right? Yeah, or you walk up to a girl and you're like, I just find you so attractive. Please don't kill me. I don't know why I find serial killers attractive. What? You call me a serial killer? What the fuck? It's confusing, but that's the quickest way to get their attention, right? Let's see. Oh, did I read that? Okay, I gotta come back here. There are plenty of times where I've made an approach while being willing to break rapport, but sometimes I just leave the conversation with no initial intention of getting the number when I've actually wanted to obtain it. That's not a bad thing. If anything, that shows your capacity for abundance. You know you're really good when you can just walk up to different girls and not care about the outcome and not make any conscious effort towards a specific outcome. That's not a bad thing. It's not a bad thing at all. In fact, that should become a part of how you operate at some point, right? Yo, Jace, this is your quarterly reminder to check out Skill of Lore, a manga about pickup. It's elite. You did tell me about that, didn't you, Ego? Shout out to you, man. Skill of Lore. Okay. Gotta check it out. Responds quickly, multi-text in a row. Gonna invite her to catch a sunset with me in the Nar. Shout out to you, man. Well done. I'm realizing why contrasts are so important now that we've discussed energy. Yes. Energy exists on a spectrum. The contrast is the flow of the energy and the way it changes form as it goes. That is what creates sustainability. That's what we call emotional investment in pickup, right? We're both engaged to other people. We've said we leave each other alone, but we keep orbiting. That's a very sticky situation you're in, my friend. Both engaged. You said you've leave each other alone, which means nothing in the grand scheme of things. Your biology doesn't care about your words. It just doesn't. That's why people go back on their words all the time. That's why vows are broken. That's why promises and expectations are constantly shattered. Your words mean nothing in the grand scheme of how your design and biology are set up. So, you've continued to orbit each other. It's a very interesting one because the lazy answer would be you're clearly meant for each other. Leave each other's spouses and go with them. But the more significant thing behind that, in my opinion, is are you only fucking with each other and have the kind of passion you have for each other right now because of the taboo behind it? Is that an element to it? Are you genuinely both attracted to each other because you have to sneak around for it? If you didn't have to sneak around to be with each other, would you still be as interested in each other as you currently are? You gotta ask yourself these questions. Gotta ask you. Also, while you're asking that question, you also have to ask, and for both you and her, are you really happy with the coupling you're in right now? You gotta ask some Love Island type questions here. Are you happy with the couple you're in? Because a lot of people enter relationships not because they're passionate about them or because they actually think there's an opportunity to learn and grow and build with someone. They're getting into these relationships because they either stumbled into them or they're convenient, or some kind of self-preservation involved. You gotta ask yourself, if you had everything else correct in your life, if you had $1 billion in your bank account and the best body that you can ever have, and you're in shape and you're the smartest you can ever be, and all those other ducks are in a row, would you still want to be with this person to this capacity? You gotta ask yourself these very important questions. If the answer to that question honestly is no, well, you know what to do. Well, everyone knows what to do. You just have to build the courage to do it. You know what I mean? So, yeah. Let me know how that goes. Let's see. And why spirits need an invitation? Yes, invitation is a very spiritual thing. It's legalistic in that way. What do you mean by cold approach? Who's asking? Oh, that's a girl asking that. Of course a girl will ask that. Of course. Cold approach is the skill of walking up to people that you have absolutely no reason to talk to and creating not just a conversation, but hopefully an exchange of value of some kind. It's essentially building a relationship from out of thin air with someone you don't know, usually in public, on the street, etc. A warm approach would be not necessarily the opposite, but a different kind of approach, which is where you walk up to someone to strike up a conversation and build some kind of a mutually benefiting value exchange when you already have what I'd like to call an in. You are in the same proximity, same vicinity. You already know people, you have mutual friends that connect you vaguely and stuff like that, or you just kind of visit the same place over and over and over again. Stuff like that. That would be a warm approach. A cold approach is where you have none of those advantages. And yes, Jesus Christ did that. You can go read it for yourself. I put the scripture up there. John 4:16-18. You guys on YouTube don't see that. I tried to do it on YouTube here, it didn't work. But yes, Jesus Christ used cold approach, and it's in the Bible. John 4:16-18. You can read the whole chapter, really. I don't really like giving verses. I've already told you guys I don't like giving verses because it leaves too much room for interpretation, and it completely removes context from how that verse came to be. So you kind of want to start from the beginning of that chapter of wherever that verse is. So go ahead, go read that. It's a very interesting story. He essentially walks up to a woman that was using a well and asked her for some help, and a conversation ensued. Very interesting opener, by the way. What do you think about the Pledge of Allegiance in America now that I'm thinking about contracts? Yeah, it's a spiritual contract you sign. Pledge of Allegiance in America, same. We have one in Nigeria too. Do I remember my pledge? Holy shit, hold on. I pledged to Nigeria, my country, to be faithful, loyal, and honest, to serve Nigeria with all my strength, to defend her unity, and uphold her honor and glory, so help me God. That is a Nigerian pledge of allegiance. But it's not called a pledge of allegiance, though, now that I think about it. It's just called a pledge, a national pledge. It's not called. I find it very interesting that every country has copied America because, give America credit where it's due. America is the blueprint for a lot of other countries. Pretty much almost all of them, especially the non-European ones. Well, really, British gets that credit if we're being really honest. But I digress. America popularized a lot of things. I do find it interesting, though, that while a lot of countries copy America, America has its own unique way of executing on the exact same thing. So every other country has their own pledge, their own national pledge. But I really do believe America is the only one that calls it a pledge of allegiance. That word allegiance, it does create a very unique thing there, a unique circumstance, if you will. It's like, it's not just a pledge to the country, it's a pledge to be completely aligned to the country in a way that benefits the country even over yourself. It's like a deeper level of entrapment almost. But I digress. We could talk about that another time. Okay, I gotta come show love to here. To the most beautiful resting bitch face line, they always tell me I'll ask that as a compliment, or some have even said it's negging me, which is funny. Hi bro, how can I gain confidence to start approaching girls in public? Because it's really scary. No, it's not. It's not scary at all, actually. You just think it's scary because you've never done it before. And that's fair. That's kind of how fear works. Fear is the language of the unknown. You're scared of it because you don't know it. But I'm telling you, as someone that has done it multiple times. Hold on, I gotta answer a text. As someone that has done it multiple times, I promise you, it is not nearly as scary as you believe it to be. Women are not velociraptors. They are not creatures that will eat you alive and kill you if you don't do the right thing and whatever. They are human women. They are people. And more importantly, they're more scared of you than you can ever be scared of them. Women do not feel as safe in their bodies as men do, especially when in front of what they perceive to be a threat, which is a man that's a stranger, a man that's not emotionally or personally invested in your well-being. So the fear of women is irrational. It's an irrational fear. I call it gynophobia. It's very pussy shit, ironically. But it's also, it's the thing that's keeping you back. It's the thing that's holding you back from actually going out there to approach. Is you telling yourself that you're, something bad is going to happen if you approach women. That's one half of the fear. The other half is you feel like you're doing something wrong to approach women. That's really, I would say, for the majority of guys out there, that's the real underlying fear, is that they feel like cold approach is something that they should actually be ashamed of, or disgusted by, or should feel some kind of guilt around. It's like, cold approach. Ugh, I'm walking around talking to women I don't know. There's all these different things in the internet and different people and different videos that keep telling you, don't approach women, don't do this, we don't want blah, blah, blah. Fuck all that. In reality, there's a lot of things that the world will tell you not to do that you have to do in order to achieve any semblance of success or abundance in your life. Alright, those of you that run businesses know what I'm talking about. Everyone claims to hate salespeople and salesmen, and that's fair. But if you don't sell, you don't have a business. Yes or no? Exactly. So the point is doing it long enough to realize, one, people don't hate it as much as you think they do. Two, if you get really good at it, people don't even notice when you're doing it. That's the real, the creme de la creme of the whole thing, is like the skill of subtlety, the skill of effortlessness. You feel me? So, yeah, keep that in mind. Hold on, give me a second. I gotta reply to this real quick. What else? Let's see. There we go. To the most. Oh yeah, I read that one, didn't I? Yeah. Man, I do feel bad for my brother. My mom says to him, stay in the marriage that he hates just because of his son, when he feels like he eggshells around her and loses his temper often with her. He doesn't like her. He doesn't like the situation he's in. He hates the fact that he feels entrapped. The quickest way to make any man feel depressed and powerless and just frustrated and angry is to entrap him. Is to make him feel like he has no choice or no options. This is why I hate when people try to preach the virtues of responsibility to men as something that you need to be trapped in. I've said this to women, all kinds of women, in my life personally, on the internet. I've said this to women all the time. You want men to start getting married to women again? Stop selling it like it's a fucking trap. Don't be stupid, all right? Like, stop trying to make responsibility and commitment look like a prison. The more you make it look like a prison, the further men will naturally run away from it. Men seek freedom. That is the most important fuel all men need. Freedom of choice, freedom of speech, freedom to do. Hell, even the freedom to be attacked. Men need freedom. Because freedom means you actually have choice in the matter. Freedom means you actually can participate in life at your own risk and with your own terms, which is a good thing for men, right? We want the freedom, both the good and the bad that comes with it. We want the freedom, right? So when women try to sell, oh, men need to be committed and married and responsibility, and you keep making it sound like a prison you're trying to lock them in, no one's gonna be buying that shit. We got no matter what, because I can already hear the feminist voice, because I've had this conversation multiple times. Well, maybe men shouldn't be so scared of commitment. Maybe men need a man to fuck up. You can say that all you want. That's not how human incentive works. You don't get people to do what you want by shaming them into it, by coercing them into it, by badgering them over the head till they give up. Like, it doesn't work, especially when freedom is on the line. It doesn't work that way. You have to cajole them. You have to find a way to make it look attractive. Give them incentive. Here's the benefits. I swear, I could sell marriage to men a lot better than women ever will be able to. But I never will sell marriage to men. Not because I don't believe in it. I just think a lot of people don't understand the point of it. So, no. Right. But anyway, your brother's in the situation he's in because, I'm going to be honest with you. I can only feel so sorry for your brother. Right? Because he did allow himself to be in that position. He's married to a woman he doesn't like and has had a child with her. It's a terrible situation to be in for anybody. But that doesn't happen overnight. Like, he didn't just wake up one morning married with a kid. That was a slow and gradual process of stripping him of his ability to choose in this life. And he let it happen. He let it happen. So first things first, take responsibility for where you are, if you're the brother. And then start making the conscious decisions to get yourself as far out of that situation as you can. I don't want to give anyone advice to break up their family, but how good is the family? How effective is the family if the head of the family is ineffective? I always tell men that, by the way. The responsibility doesn't come before your own capacity. Because the responsibility itself, or the commitment itself, as much as men, we have a proclivity to be so attached to whatever sense of commitment we believe we have or have, dedicated ourselves to. I always say men aren't committed to things. They're committed to commitment itself, right? As much as that is true, it doesn't matter, because ultimately your capacity for commitment is dependent on your own personal alignment. Whatever it is, I'll say that again. Whatever it is that you are committed to, whatever responsibility you hold, you cannot do to the best of your ability if you ain't right. So you inevitably have to come before the responsibility. It can be, I'm not saying you can't have something that is bigger than you, but your ability to fulfill whatever that mission is, whatever that empire you want to build, whatever that thing is that you were put on this life for, is dependent on your own personal capacity. You can want to be, for instance, the greatest Olympian at a particular sport the world has ever seen. And you can dedicate your entire life to that particular sport for the rest of your life, or at least in your prime athletic years. But guess what? If you don't take care of you in the process, fuck your dreams. And I've seen this happen so many times now, by the way, my 4 years of coaching at this point. So many men dedicating themselves to something, putting that thing over themselves, which is the noble thing to do, which is the thing you expect men to do, committing to something that strongly, but then completely neglecting themselves in the equation, and then burning out, right? Completely burning out, completely losing track, making fucked up decisions because they weren't in the right mental health space, all that good stuff. I see men do it with marriage and kids relationships too. It's like, yeah, wonderful that you have kids, awesome that you have kids, but you should always come before those kids. You have to. If you exhaust yourself putting those kids before you, then those kids don't benefit anyway. A weak, pathetic, tired, exhausted father who can't make correct decisions in any situation is not effective for the kids, whether on a protection or provision level. So you can't, oh, my kids come first. That's stupid. That's very stupid. And mind you, I'm not just talking out of my ass. I'm an only child. I saw that literally destroy my parents' marriage. They put me before anything else. What did it do? What did it cause? A lot of unnecessary burden on the kid because I became their entire reason for existence. Imagine that burden at that young an age. A lot of pressure, a lot of unnecessary pressure from my age. I can handle it, thank God, but that was not how a kid should have grown up. Any decision I made on a daily basis literally dictated the emotional state of my parents. I'm not even kidding. You don't want to live in that hell. You don't. You don't want to live in that hell. Any decision I made, even the tiny, I could tell you times growing up where I got my ass beat. Which, don't worry, this was normal. I grew up in Nigeria, right? But I could tell you many moments in my life where I got my ass beat for things that should have just been, like, dismissed easily as the foolishness of a young child. A little smack on the wrist and a firm talking to would have been more than enough. But I got beaten severely, not because I deserved that level of punishment, but because my parents were so, like, their nervous systems from what I did and how attached they were to the outcome of me, their nervous system was on fucking fire. And they took it out on me. They took it out on me. You know, bruh, do not make your children the priority. If my dad put himself first before me, he would have been a much better, much more effective father for me. I'm not saying that my parents were completely dog shit. I actually had, comparatively speaking, really good parents compared to most other people, right? I have a Nigerian father that said and still says, I love you. That's very rare. Very rare for anybody. Ask anyone that grew up in Nigeria. I have a father that hugged and kissed me. Right? You'll do it most of the time out of guilt after beating my ass, but at least it happened. Right? I had a mother that would pray for me every night. That was, the running joke is that I had the shape of head I have because my mom would lay her hands on my head most mornings. Like, that was my literal alarm clock growing up. It was waking up to my mom speaking in tongues over me, right? So I'm not going to sit here and act like, oh, it was so bad and terrible the entire way. I definitely had it way better than most other people, even with all the suffering and the pain and at certain points the abject fucking poverty we had to go through. But make no mistake, my parents, their relationship dissolved ultimately because of their over-investment, their ridiculous levels of attachment to me and the outcome of me. And that is a burden no child should ever bear. No child should ever bear. Like, you should not make your children your fucking therapist. Does that make sense? So yes. Um. Anyway, enough of my personal rantings, but I think that's useful for a lot of you to understand because a lot of people don't get that. Like when I say make yourself the priority over your kids, motherfuckers get offended. Like, oh, you're saying fuck the kids. I'm not saying fuck them kids. I'm saying fuck them until you're good. The kids aren't good if you're not good. They're just not. Okay. Um, all that to say, be careful how you commit. I'm not saying don't have commitments. I'm not saying choose or focus and don't cut other things off and distractions. I'm saying be very careful to understand that you have a job to do that requires your capacity. And if the machine ain't right, how can you possibly do the work? Okay? All right. All right, I'm gonna come over here. I think I'm a little behind over here. It's interesting you don't sleep very much. I feel like it's almost the opposite for me. The more I sleep, the more progress I make in life. Exactly. But I mean actual sleep, not just doom scrolling on my phone. Yeah, exactly. Like real sleep. Bought your course on game Tension and Value isn't available. Really? I'm sorry to hear that. That can't be really. I gotta see what's going on there. I'm sorry about that. I will make it. That's unfortunate. I will look into that, see what's going on there, because that can't be right. But I'll look into that. Sorry about that. Tension and Value isn't available on. It should be attached to the interview 1.0, right? Current offer I'm running. I'm gonna look into that like as soon as possible. Let me get into my sound card real quick. I'm so sorry about that. That's like one of the most important parts. That's the entire crux of my entire system. So if that isn't available, what the fuck did I sell you? You know. A normal mentor, Porta Favor. Okay, firing up Sam card right now, so we'll look into that right now. Okay. Let's see. Confusion is fire. Yes, confusion is a very useful point of leverage. By the way, oh shit, TikTok already has me at 2K likes. Thank you so much for the likes and love on TikTok. Thank you so much for the gifts. On YouTube, I want to see them likes go up, man. Let's go. Let's see some love. They don't do multiple likes on YouTube, do they? It's not as, it's not as it doesn't bombard you with all that, but that's fine. Just leave at least your one like, and that's more than enough for us. Okay, thank you. What are your thoughts on the Akashic records? Like any other records, they're useful. They're very, very useful. As long as you don't worship the information. I always say all information is useful as long as you don't worship it. The mistake men have always made. I was talking to someone about this like literally yesterday. We're talking about the exodus of Moses from Egypt with the people of Israel, right? They were enslaved by the Egyptians, and then God sent Moses to take them out. What people don't understand about that entire story is that God sending Moses to take the people of Israel out of Egypt is literally the less important part of Moses' entire mission. The real crux of that mission, the most important aspect of that mission, is the 40 years they circled the Sahara Desert while they were trying to find the promised land. Like God could have shown them the promised land immediately, but God needed to take the people of Israel through a pruning process, essentially. What was the pruning process for? It was to eradicate a certain epigenetic trait. And I would, just to keep it simple, I would like to call that trait the slave mindset. You take a bunch of people, you enslave them for generations, they come out with very bad habits. Habits that lead to inconsistent behavior, codependence on safety and certainty, a need for constant soothing and sedation from any kind of pain, and other things. Things that don't make them forthright, forward-thinking leaders, right? You only have two people in this world, the masters and the slaves, the predators and the prey, the protectors and the provider types, as I've called them before. It's the same archetype we're talking about. It's just two different people operating with the world in very different ways. One is more proactive than the other, one is more reactive than the other. You can't get shit done with the reactivity crowd. And so if you go back and read, Exodus, Deuteronomy, Leviticus, all of that, It's really just God's relationship with this specific group of people, trying to turn them from victims into victors. And even ironically enough, it shows, and if you read the Bible correctly, it becomes very clear to you. God himself was frustrated with the way these people were behaving, the lack of progress, the running back into like old habits. Moses left for like a couple days to go up to Mount Sinai to receive from God, what would eventually become the original set of rules, the top 10 basic most fundamental rules, the 10 commandments. And he wasn't even gone for that long, and these motherfuckers immediately went into making a golden calf to worship. Right? Why? Because their hearts were desperately wicked, yes, but really what that was showing you was their unnecessary codependence on something or someone outside of themselves for direction. When Moses wasn't the babysitter, they needed to create their own babysitter, right? And that's a very frustrating kind of person to deal with, because they're always going to be looking for a handout. They're always going to be looking for a tether to hold on to, a parachute while they fall, which sounds like a logical thing. Like, don't you need a parachute while you're falling thousands of feet? Yes, but the problem with that kind of thinking is the things you need to do that require a level of greatness out of you require you to jump without the parachute every single time. That's what faith is. That's what having a trust in God is, being able to move without any physical evidence. The children of Egypt, I always say my running joke for them is the ones in particular coming out of Egypt, the children of Israel coming out of Egypt with Moses. My running joke for them is that they probably experienced God more than the average person today. They had a direct means of contact with him through Moses, 24/7 essential, divine customer service from God 24/7. They had all these miracles that were happening around them on a daily basis. Pillar of fire by night to see, pillar of cloud to protect them from the sun, manna from heaven, birds to feed them with proteins when they needed. Like, they literally had whatever they wanted whenever they wanted. And they became so codependent on that, because not because God was spoiling them, but because that was the mindset they had come from Egypt with. Egypt is, the slavery that they experienced in Egypt is what created within them that epigenetic trait of codependency, right? So they always needed someone to tell them what to do. Always needed someone to create in them the need for sustenance. They always needed to have some kind of physical evidence and assurance. You can't create greatness with that. That's why God made him go in that desert 40 years and pretty much had the majority of the first generation of slaves coming out of Egypt die out. The majority of the people that came out of Egypt with Moses, including Moses himself, did not make it to the promised land. All right, because you can't do shit with slave-minded people. You can't. I'm sorry. If they need to identify with their victimhood and their slavery and their oppression, you can't do shit with them. You gotta let them die out. Even God, that's not me saying it. Don't be mad at me. God did that. God himself, he created this bitch, and he went with that strategy. Now we're just gonna let him run around the desert for 40 years and let him die out. And the only person I feel sorry for there is Moses himself. He was held to such a high standard. One mistake and he was out of there. God said, go up on that mountain and die. You're done. One mistake. Ain't that a bitch? And I'm sure people think of it like sad, like, oh, Moses was sad because of that. No, if anything, he was probably happy. He didn't want to deal with his people no more. That entire... Anyway, I've gone so far from the point. Let's get back to home base. Point I'm trying to make is, and me and this person were discussing it, you can't create something substantial with that kind of mindset. You can't create something with that kind of mindset. It's not possible. It's not going to work. It is not going to work. Okay? Let's see. Does negs work over the DMs? Yes, they do. How do you change people's perception of you if you're known as a pathological liar? You start telling the truth all the time, and even when it's uncomfortable for you to do or inconvenient for you to do, and slowly over time, people will begin to trust what you have to say. You know, if you're a pathological liar, I would say one of the biggest things you should start doing is start telling the truth and backing it up. Like, don't say the truth out loud if you cannot have physical evidence to back it up. Because a lot of the time, you know, if people are calling you a pathological liar, it's really only because of one of two things. One, you are a pathological liar. Or two, you're saying things that they have no tangible evidence for. People tend to shut up about you being a liar when you can provide them evidence. That's kind of how it works, right? So yeah. Man, I do feel bad. Oh, you're doing that one. More lives, yes, indeed. How you doing, San Andreas? How's going on? I've been seeing this girl for some few months now. I'm confused if I should ask her to be my girlfriend or just take my bro's advice and just treat her like my girlfriend and she'll get the hint. Your bro's smarter than you. The execution is not as good as it can be, but your bro's smarter than you. You don't ever make becoming your girlfriend a big deal. I've always said that. The moment you try to talk to her like becoming your girlfriend is like a big next step, like it's a big deal, you put so much value on the label and fuck yourself over in the long run. What I've always done is just start saying weird shit that I would only ever say to girlfriends. And then this is my favorite part about it, by the way. I'm the kind of guy that'll just date a girl and just start saying, "Oh, I love you," and then bouncing. "I love you, bye." Not expecting her to say "I love you" back. No, I don't even care if they say "I love you" back or not. I just say, "Oh, I love you." And then my favorite part is when they try to go, "Oh, you just said that. We should probably talk about it." Like they bring it up like it's a big deal, and then I shut them down and I'm like, What did you not get fucking hugged by your dad when you were a kid? I can't just tell you I love you and bounce. What the fuck? Like, it's gotta be a big deal. What's wrong with you? Are you so low self-esteem you can't even receive the free love I'm giving you? What's wrong with you? Now it's gotta be a fucking discussion. Shut up. You're weird. And then I walk away. That's my favorite. That's my shit. That's my favorite thing to do. I completely diminish the power that they try to put on that thing. Because that's the mistake most men make, is they try to make it magnificent. Like, ooh, like even you right now trying to be like, oh, when do I say she's my girlfriend? How do I? You're putting way too much power on something that happens on a daily basis. It's not that big a deal. It's not that big a deal. It is not. Right? The moment you treat it like a big deal, it becomes a big deal. So never make it a big deal. Okay? All right. Let's see. By the way, YouTube also limits your. Oh, it does. YouTube, don't do us like that. How to have discipline and approaches in game. I'm a lot less concerned with your level of discipline and a lot more concerned with your level of fun. You make it sound like approaching women should be like this militant thing where you have to be very disciplined. No, it's fun. You're talking to girls, dude. What about that? Indicates some degree of like hardness, or it shouldn't feel like you have to have discipline around it. It's talking to girls. The incentive is baked within the activity itself. You're talking to girls, guy. Like, what are we doing? Right? I'm not saying women are the most important, most magnificent thing on the planet, but it's women. They're fun. Fun to talk to, fun to get to know, fun to mess with, right? Like, just women. It's not the discipline, military. Nah, just women. Just talk, bro. It's fine. What's the best practice to evolve as a man? What hard things can you do or learn? The thing that makes you feel the most scared is usually where you want to start. It's not a one-size-fits-all thing for everybody. Everyone has their own particular demons to face. Go face it. Find that demon, cast it out. Right? No contracts, not contracts. No, I said contracts. Yeah. I said, I meant contracts. If I said contracts, that's my bad. But I meant contracts. Like, yeah, it's legalistic. The spiritual realm invitation, it's all legalistic. It's contractual for sure. Bro Dax follows you. That's cool. I like Dax. He's a Nigerian too. Shout out to Dax. A lot of people hate him for his music for some reason. I think that's mostly. I don't even want to get into that right now. I do think Dax has found his lane, and he provides for his family the way he does. But he's also shown an ability to do like the whole gritty rap thing if he wants to. He bodied Tory Lanez in that one rap beef. You know how bad you gotta diss a motherfucker in a diss track for him to get so mad that he points a gun at you? That is, no one talks about that for some reason. I don't know why. Tory Lanez was such a bitch and so butthurt about losing to Dax in that rap beef. Mind you, he didn't even, to call it a loss too is kind of an understatement because Tory didn't even respond to him in the song. Tory said in the song, "I'll body anybody." I think it was featured on someone else's song. He said he did the Kendrick Lamar thing where it's like, "I'm coming at y'all, anyone can get it." And Dax stepped up and said, "Okay, cool, I'll give it to you." And he washed that man on a Drake beat, I believe. I think it was the Duppy freestyle beat. Washed that man. And instead of Tory to get in the stew and do something about it, as a rapper should, Tory pulled up in a fucking Escalade and pointed a gun at Dax on video. One of the most pathetic things I've ever seen in my life. No one talks about that though, because it doesn't fit the narrative that Dax is a corny rapper. But I think it shows a level of fucking skill if you can get someone that mad with your words while you rhyme them. I think it's impressive. I think it's very impressive. But yeah, shout out to Dax. I like Dax. I can't say I like all his music, but I think on principle, I like the guy for sure. Bro, why is that my girl doesn't want me to check her phone? Because I was grabbing the remote, just minding my own business, but the way she grabbed her phone got me concerned. Why are you concerned about it? We both know what's in there. What are we concerned for? We both know what's in there. It's like, damn, it got me concerned. You thinking about it is the mistake, is the problem. You see, what you should do instead, since we already have a good idea of what's in there, it's her trying to exercise her other options. How about you just exercise your options? You know, whatever you want to do, that's the best part. You get to choose how you want to play this. You can be in a relationship with her and exercise your options, or be outside of the relationship with her and exercise your options. Either way, exercise your fucking options. You're only concerned about what's in her phone because it ain't enough going on in your phone. I say this all the time. I feel like I say this every fucking live at this point. The best way to make guard is to not try to make guard at all. You're wasting your own time and, intellectual energy trying to wonder what she's up to. When in reality, the best way to play it is to be so busy doing your thing that she ends up wondering what you're up to. She should be the one wondering what's on your phone. You feel me? That's how it should be. She should be the one wondering what's on your phone. My girlfriend back in India, at least for like 6 weeks, but while she has been away, she always calls me every day, but is ignoring her sometimes important for attention creation. Absolutely, this is what I'm talking about. Get her. You're the exact opposite of the bro before you. He's worried about what's on the girl's phone. You're thinking, how can I make her stress about me? Now we're talking. That's the power shift and power imbalance you should be working on. You feel me? That's how I should be going. Also, Jace, there was another example of a girl on Hinge from South London, and I teased her about it, to which she said, very funny, then double texted saying, "I'm not a shav or anything, don't worry." I don't know what shav means. What does shav mean in London? For my Londoners out there, let me know what that means. Does negs work over DMs? Because I've been missing. They do work on DMs. It depends on what neg you're using. If you're finding yourself missing when you're using negs, it's usually one of two things down to it. One, the neg you're executing doesn't work well over text. There are some negs that definitely require stuff like body language, voice tonality, eye contact, the social cues for them to work properly. There are other negs that are just the words themselves that carry weight, like the resting bitch face one I just told you guys about. That one works both over text and over. I mean, obviously, every line works better in person. Duh, cold approach is king. But yeah, that one doesn't really require a lot of body language and tonality and eye contact and other stuff like that to help it along. It stands well on its own as a text. But there are some out there that for sure need like the extra stuff behind it, like maybe even a little bit of playfulness or a judgmental look on your face. Like if you were to go up to a girl and go, "That dress of yours is just a little too red." If you said it over text, the dress of yours is just a little too red, too open to interpretation, not enough behind it. Maybe if you sent a voice note where you can put pauses in between, the dress is just a little too red. That would be a little better. But over text by itself, in person where she can see your face, she can see the way you lean back and fold your arms when you say it, the pause, cool. Over text it just doesn't make any sense. So some are just more sensitive to in-person execution than others. Keep that in mind. Let's see. Is cold approach the best ROI way to meet your wife? For sure. Every girlfriend I've had since I want to say 20. Okay, that's okay. I have to count from 2017. Is I would say every major girlfriend I've had since then is cold approach. Before then, I still met girls through cold approach and had girlfriends through cold approach. But some girlfriends in there I did meet online, right? Which is why I have to count from that point. But yeah, pretty much. I mean, to be fair, a better way for me to put it would be literally all my most consequential relationships I've ever had are from cold approach, for sure. For like the most impactful, the most memorable, the most important, the most life changing, all cold approach. All cold approach. I don't even know how motherfuckers can meet girls outside of cold approach. Like warm approach is like, oh, warm approach. People always met people through warm approaches before, 2016 and online dating and whatever. That's true, but we can measure the level of success they have with their relationships. And the numbers are clear on it. Not that good. Even the ones, because this is another mistake people make, right? They make this mistake of measuring the success of a relationship by how long it's lasted. That's a false equivalence. Just because it's lasted long doesn't mean it's a successful relationship. It's a lot of very long, very lengthy, miserable relationships out there. Trust me, I know. But yeah, if you look at the numbers, the raw data, yeah, everybody was fucking miserable, honestly, before they actually had the capacity for choice and the freedom to choose. All right, which has only happened recently, like the last 2 decades or so. So, do that information what you must. A cold approach is by far the best way you'll ever meet, the best woman you'll ever meet in your life, the most consequential woman you'll ever meet in your life, the most beautiful woman you'll ever meet in your life, for sure. Like, cold approach. For guys like, I've only ever met girls online. Yeah, you have a ceiling to how beautiful the women you've met are. Well, unless of course you like have the craziest fucking profile on earth that attracts all women, which most men just don't. Not even me. Unless that's the case, yeah, you're not gonna be tapping in those echelons of women. It's kind of funny. I'm actually a really good example of this. There's a limit to how hot the girl I can get on online dating is. I completely break that ceiling with cold approach. Completely. I got hot girls online, sure, but if you look at like my roster online versus real life, they're both high quality, but you could just tell the cold approach is just like, it's girls I realistically and logistically don't deserve. That's what you get on cold approach. It's just a different level, you know what I mean? So yeah, cold approach is key. Are there soulmates, meaning a woman you fuck with heavier than others? If that's what you want to call a soulmate, sure. There's definitely women that are going to be more compatible with. Absolutely, compatibility is a thing. Shared values, shared experience, all those things. But even that is like, it's a tricky one. A lot of men think they have shared values with a certain woman. But in reality, it's not that they have shared values with a woman. They just had very similar life experiences. Maybe they grew up in the same culture, or they grew up in the same circumstances, or had very similar experiences. And so they think of that as having same values. But in reality, it's just a comfort-based thing we do as animals, right? You'd be surprised how well your compatibility goes up when you start sampling outside of your comfort zone. Because that's what people don't talk about a lot. There's a lot of... I know guys, and I've been coaching now for 4 years, right? I've literally had to give some guys the advice like, hey, listen, because of who you are, how you look at the world, right? Your personal overview of how the world works, the things you do, the experiences you've had, you've been led to believe that this is the kind of girl you should get with. In reality, you need to try this type of girl, right? Like this is the particular kind of thing right here. Because on a cultural level, ironically, you click better with this. I literally have several clients where I've had to do this for. My most memorable that comes to mind right now is a guy, Hispanic. I'm not gonna go too into detail about like who he is and what he does, whatever. But Hispanic guy, and he was like frustrated. Latino women, this, that. I've had this experience with that woman, and blah blah. And I went through this guy's entire profile and design. And I'm like, hold on, have you tried Lebanese women? You tried Arabic women? They look pretty much just like the Latino women you're attracted to. One, two. Everything you claim to be missing, like as a fulfillment level, in your Fishman, what's going on, man? In your dating experience, these women naturally fulfill, like without even trying. Right? Like you get the same level of passion, but you also get it with this same level of like, other things involved. I don't want to get into his particular thing. You get all these things with them. And he's like, no, but nah, like I'm a Christian, Muslim. Trust me. If she loves you enough, she'll convert for you anyway. Don't worry about that. Go get you a bitch from the Jordans. Alright? Go get you a Baghdad bitch. Go here, do this, do this, do this. This was, I want to say 7 months ago. This was close to the beginning of the year. He's currently still with the girl he met at the beach that is of that ethnicity. Right? You know what I mean? Because again, it made sense for him. And from what he's telling me, literally one of the most smoothest, most, impressive relationships he's ever had. If not the best relationship he's ever had. I mean, it's too soon to call it, 7 months. Well, actually more like 5 months at this point. But yeah, it's crazy. A lot of you don't understand the difference between comfort and compatibility. They're very different things. Extremely different things. But, we'll get into that. Jason, I got this girl who essentially scared of falling in love with me. How to guide her through. Whenever you meet a girl that's scared to fall in love, it's not that she's scared to fall in love, it's that she's scared to relinquish control. And so the way to get past that is just honestly a lot of assurance. If she's at the point where she's already, if she's saying she's scared to fall in love with you, understand that on a subconscious level, what she's really saying is, I'm already in love with you. I already want to do this. She's just scared with what she believes comes with it. She's scared of like the loss of control, because women are very painfully aware, ironically, of just how they become when they find a man that they're genuinely excited by. They know it. They understand like the lack of control they have. They understand like the blinders that come on, the hallucinations they have, and they're scared of essentially putting the keys to their life in someone else's hands. Which, who wouldn't be scared of that? Even us as men, we're even more irrationally scared of that than women are. So you can't be mad at her for that. But in order to cross that boundary for her, in order for it to make sense for her, address her particular concerns via reassurance. I know you feel like this and this and this and this and this will happen. Don't worry, you're with me. I'll make sure that you get this particular favorable outcome that doesn't fuck you over in the long run instead. That's the language around it. By the way, boot camp ended and we're back in our cities. Let's talk. We have a lot to talk about. I gotta debrief y'all on that fucking boot camp. We have a lot to talk about. Hell yeah. Let me come back to YouTube. Shout out some love. Give us examples, please. Examples of negs. I'm gonna be honest with you. You just want to go straight to push pulls. Push pulls are king when it comes to like lines that you use both in real life and online. Right? They just help because they're more detailed and they leave almost no room for misinterpretation. And if they do leave room for misinterpretation, then it's usually to your favor anyway. So you want to use a standard push-pull. Negative, positive, positive, negative. Something that makes her feel good in the beginning half and then makes her feel detracted in the second half. I feel a strange pull towards you, but I just know you'd be bad for me. right? I think you're the most beautiful woman I've seen online so far, but I can just tell you'd be a danger to me. I just know we wouldn't work out. You're to insert personal, you know, thing you've noticed about her profile or whatever here that can be misconstrued as bad. You know, you're too thick, you're too beautiful, you're too pretty, your hair is too long, you're too fashion conscious, right? You're too meticulous about the way you look. We wouldn't work out, right? Um, that's like the double-ended sword, right? It's like taking a positive of hers and turning it around to make it look like a negative by the way you're typing it out, the tone of it you have, and also experiment with voice notes. Voice notes are like a literal shortcut to opening messages because they again help you to execute the same what would have just been a boringly read line in a very charismatic and magnetic way. All right. If you need more help with like openers in general, I literally have an openers guide. What would be the best way for you to get it? You can get it in my school group, or it comes with the interview. If you don't have the interview yet, go into the account, go into the page. I mean, go to my link in my bio, get the interview. It's literally like the price of my Chipotle order, very cheap right now. The promotion ends soon though, so you might want to hurry up with that. And then in the very first section of the course, the interview part of the course, because you get a bunch of different bonuses with it, you should have one of those lessons in there that gives you an opportunity to download the opener's guide, the full opener's guide, 40 plus openers, most of which can be used for online dating. All right. Okay. Let's see. John Jones, what's going on, man? We spoke a while ago. I told you that I don't like surface level conversations. Cynthia girl told me that on our first date, I felt like I ripped her soul open. Oof. What's Jesus' game? Soul winning. Jesus's favorite game. It's funny you mentioned that. Was I just completely abandoned Billy's question. I'm sorry about that, man. But I love this question so much, so I'll get back to you, Billy. Jesus's game, if you really want to get into it, was cold reading. Divine cold reading. That's what I like to call it. He was cheating. Like, imagine having access to the information about anyone that you wanted at any given moment in time, and then using it essentially to completely gain control over the frame of the conversation. That's what Jesus did. Every conversation you saw Jesus have in the Bible literally revolved around that. Calling out the person on a personal, deep personal level, because he just could see it, right? He knew. Through divine revelation. And then using that information to gain psychological position over them. And, I mean, he wasn't a bad guy or anything. He didn't, like, become a supervillain and was like, ha ha ha, now I'm going to use it to destroy you. Like, nah. He would use it to bring them joy, comfort, add value to their lives, and even healing, you know? So, Jesus' game was what I call divine cold reading. He was a prophet that could use the eye and the gift of seeing and prophecy to his advantage. That was his cold approach pickup game. And again, that's not blasphemy to say. It's all over the Bible. Go read your Bible. If this surprises you for me to say that, it's because you just haven't read the scriptures enough. Go read. All right, back to Billy. Cynthia Girl told me on the first day that I felt like I ripped her soul open, which is an excellent imprint, but now she's almost cautious. Now that I talk about it, I'm so much more in there than I realized. Yes. You're so much more in there than you realize. I mean, I already told you this, didn't I? Actually, no, that was a different person I was talking to about this. But similar situation. You're giving yourself not enough credit for how deeply you have imprinted in this girl. If you did everything the way you told me you did, that girl's been thinking about you nonstop. All you got to do is set up another meeting. Seal the deal. That's all you got to do. I mean, you've already sealed the deal, but like continuously. The more access you have, the more leverage you create. Okay. Let's see. Full Hawk in 2026 is dangerous. I agree. I'm a dangerous person. I pity the fool. Should I focus on my physique before cold approaching? I'm about 20 pounds overweight. I almost want you to go cold approach right now as you are. One, because you will see a massive difference. Here's what I do, right? Mexicans can actually talk about this because he's talking about right now how he's going crazy on his dating life, online dating, blew up a lot of matches. Mitsikins, when we first met, was fat shite. He's a young kid from London, and he was a big bitch. And even while he was big, because he was training under me, and he still is, he was gaining success. But now that he's added, because he went through like a crazy physical transformation. I wish I could show you guys a picture of him, like from the fat shy he used to be, the chubby little fucker, to like he's ripped. He looks like a fucking Greek god now. And he's put a bunch of crazy pictures up on his online dating, and clearly the online dating sites have like literally just blown up his Elo score, and he's like everywhere. He's doing whatever. All these bitches are on him. Blah blah. I want you to see the difference between how much effort you have to put in when you're a fat shite versus when you become Greek god. I want you to see that now. And because Mitsikins has been training and getting success even when he wasn't looking the way he does now, he has all the skills in place to take advantage of the moment. That's the point. That's the point. Right? Like I was talking about something very similar, a very similar principle with someone that was like asking me questions about like online businesses and content creation. And I kind of gave him the same advice. It's like, listen, you're trying to go viral. It's useless to go viral if you don't have a funnel on the back end for people to go through. Useless. Because then all you get is like visibility, a bunch of backlash, and then what you get paid pennies by wherever you post it went viral on. As opposed to you can build your own fucking community. Right? You can get people to be a part of something bigger than themselves by bringing them into your coven. Because the streamlined compliance ladder was already built in the first place. You had that shit set up in the back end. Same thing with this situation. If you approach right now and you're kind of a fat shite, good. Now you'll learn the hard way, the skills you need, so that when you do lose that weight, smooth as butter. Easy for you. Easy for you. Right? So yeah, do that. Do with that information what you must. Hold on. What's the point of... my bad. I skipped a few messages. You know, like a gypsy, I think, or something. Basically a roadmap, but girl version. What are we talking about? Not a shav. A shav? Okay, a gypsy. Oh, I see. So a gypsy is the guy version of shav is the... Why wouldn't she want to be a shav? Gypsies are cool. You know? What's the point of marriage? Marriage is for growth and evolution. It's essentially like supercharging your own development. And the development of all the people that are involved in or affected by that union. It's improvement, evolution, development, and growth. That's the point of it. Unfortunately, we've been taught in this world to treat marriage more like social status and an out for not being alone anymore, which is probably the most dangerous way to look at marriage. Marriage being used as a means to not die alone, even though, spoiler alert, we all die alone, is probably the most dangerous thing we do with marriage. Because then it becomes... the way you look at marriage determines the priorities you have when you're dating. Right? So if you look at marriage as this means of not being alone anymore, then inevitably when you go out there, you're going to start dating in accordance to that. You're going to be dating not for actual growth, evolution, and sustainability and capacity as you go, but you're going to be looking for companionship. Not to say companionship isn't important, I say it's not necessary, but it's not primary. It should be the secondary reason you get with a girl on a long-term basis. The companionship comes after. The first thing you need is not compatibility, is the actual opportunity here, the opportunity cost of you getting with someone and what the ROI on the evolution is going to be. When you look at it like that, you realize why a lot of men are like in boring relationships. Boring relationships. I don't know how y'all do it. I don't know how the fuck y'all do it. I learn from my bitch every day. I don't know what the fuck y'all are doing. If you cannot say that the girl you're with, or girls you're with, well, however you want to play it, don't genuinely bring some kind of value to you, tangible, usable, practical value to you, then what the fuck are you doing? If you cannot measure, like actually measure the improvement as time has gone on with this person, what the fuck are you doing? What are you doing? And that's like 99% of relationships out there. Right? 99% of them. Like the majority of people are just together because they're too scared to be alone. Or they're just scared to start over. Or they're not sure what they might meet out there. So they're just sticking with the devil they know as opposed to the angel they don't know. You're not really choosing the person you're with. You're just running away from loneliness. It's pathetic. Why'd you do that to yourself? That's why I teach what I do. Right? Go out there, date, learn abundance. Because then you can choose from abundance. You can actually settle down and think and weigh your options. It's options. You have these options to weigh them. Huh? Look, I'm going to stop the rant right now before I waste too much time on it. But the point of marriage is growth and evolution. If you think about that first, then you'll date in accordance to which girl can challenge me the most, which one can improve me the most, which one can actually help to grow me. On every level, right? Spiritual, physical, financial. Who will push me? Who will fucking push me? That's what they're designed for, you know? A woman's job is to expose your deepest, the deepest parts of your psyche, your emotional strength of character. They're designed to test those things. If the girl you're with doesn't test it, you're not improving. You're dying. Because in this world, there's no such thing as stagnation. Stagnation is death. It's either you're moving forward or you're regressing. With that information, much rest. Where was I? A friend scared of cold approach because of the agenda you have, and them thinking you're weird. He doesn't listen if he thinks that way it's true. Yeah, pretty much. If you're scared. By the way, quick trick. If you're scared of cold approaching because you feel like having an agenda when you talk to women is a bad thing, it's because you feel like you're extracting value without giving anything in return. The analogy I always give is this. Imagine I gave you a mandate. I gave you a mission. I said, go out there, approach 100 different women and ask them for $1 each. Like by the time you get back, I want to see how close to $100 you have. You're going to have a very different energy and way of going about doing that than if I said, okay, go out there and approach 100 different women and give them $10 each. Here's 1,000. Boom. Give them $10 each, 100 different women. Right? When you're approaching and you're asking for $1 each, when they say no, it hurts. Because you know you're trying to extract from them, so the guilt and the shame comes from the feeling of being a sucker, a vampire. But if you approach a woman and go, here's $10 for free, no strings attached, and she says no, you don't feel bad about that. If anything, you feel like, her loss. That's a free $10. Right? She could have gotten her frappe, latte, mocha, whatever the fuck she likes with that for free today. You see, the guilt and the shame and the cringe comes from you feeling like a fucking vampire with no value to add. Once you believe and know that you have value to add, cold approach no longer feels cringe. I walk around knowing, right, that if I were to approach not just women, anybody with anything, right, I know it benefits them more than it benefits me. I know they're getting a lot out of it than I ever will. Right? That's why people go, you plug your course a lot, you shamelessly say, yes, because I know you're benefiting way more than I am anyway. For all the hours and work I put in and all the expertise, condensing years of experience into those courses and stuff, like, hell yeah, I know I'm giving, like, yeah, get my fucking course, because what other chance will you have to get that much tremendous value? I don't have any fucking, I'm not begging you to do it. It's your loss if you don't get it. It's your fucking loss. I know it is. That's why I talk like this. And I talk like this with every other value I provide. That's why there's no cringe in me. That's where when you have this belief, when you know that the value you're giving is more, the shamelessness goes away. Now, the trick though is actually have value to give. Right? Have value to give. The problem with most men is they get limited in their idea of what value looks like. A lot of men think value means being tall and jacked and handsome and stuff. It's mostly about how you make her feel. And you don't need to be tall and jacked and handsome to do all those things. You need to be precise. You need to have good game. You need to know how to actually control emotion in the conversation. That's why we talk about things like push-pulls, or we talk about things like negs, or we talk about things like teasing and flirting and joking and playfulness. Bringing a unique energy she's never felt before is more than enough value for anybody. That is something she'll go on the rest of her day talking about with her friends, her family, right? That is value enough. That is value enough. A lot of men just don't know that. A lot of men don't know that, unfortunately. But it really is value enough. Okay? Let me come back here, actually. Jason been struggling with a girl introduced to me by her brother on the phone, and I did good with her on the first call. We followed each other on IG, but I asked her to call and she refused and didn't respond. How should I go about it? That means the incentive wasn't strong enough. I always tell you guys, the incentive has to be strong enough when you want to make an ask. If you want to ask something of anyone, there has to be a strong enough incentive, because that is what will actually give them the higher likelihood of going along with the compliance. If she's not responding to you to any capacity, whether it's on the phone, text messaging, blah, blah, that tells you that in her mind, maybe there's a different offer out there that's better for her, that she thinks is better for her, which means you've done a bad job at presenting the value of your offer, whatever it is you're offering. It's incentive-based. Human behavior is incentive-based. People do stuff because they are incentivized to do it. Not because you're good, or because they're nice, or because they want to do the right thing, or because you're scared to go to hell. No. People, even the hell thing, I just think that's a great example. Why do people do things? Because they're scared to go to hell. Because the fear of hell itself is an incentive. I don't want to spend all of eternity, which to me, because I'm human and I have such a limited understanding of how time works, I don't want to spend all of eternity in a fiery pit, or however the fuck they assume hell to be. I don't want to spend a long ass time just suffering. And because I don't want to do that, I'm willing to do whatever actions I need to on this plane of existence to make sure that my seat in heaven, which is the opposite of hell, is secure. You see how that works? That's why the message of hell is such a powerful one for sheep, for people that believe in religious dogma. I always say Jesus Christ only mentioned hell once in his entire ministry. 4 books written on Jesus: Matthew, Mark, Luke, John. Only mentioned hell once. So clearly that shouldn't be the fucking focus, but I digress. Point is, this is the reason people do stuff, is because they're either running towards pleasure or running away from pain. That is what incentive is. So if you are about to send a girl that text, whatever that text is, you have to ask yourself first, what is the pain this text would help her run away from? What is the pleasure this text will help her run towards? Why would she respond? If there's no reason to respond, she won't. Plain and simple. All right. So I would ask you, my friend, because you said everything but the most important thing, what exactly was the incentive you gave her, if any, for responding to you? Why would she get on the phone with you? Why would she take time out of her day to talk to you? What have you done to create that need for her? See? And think about a game like that. It's so easy. It's so easy, and things stop being confusing anymore. Right? I don't like when people ask me questions about, why did a girl do this? Those are beginner questions. Not because I hate beginner questions or I hate beginners. I'm here for the beginners. But it shows me that you haven't thought deeply enough about the psychology of game. And it's a very simple one. People do what they're incentivized to do. You shouldn't be asking why she did it. You should be asking, okay, cool, what can I do to incentivize her to do it? That's the real question. Every single time. All right. Okay. Let's see. Oh, actually, let me come back here. What to do if a white woman calls me the N-word out of affection? The affection is the answer. That's it. Oh, why? People think that shit means something. Again, it's like the girlfriend thing. You wonder why I asked her to be my girlfriend. A white woman called me the N-word. Like, bruh, you can't allow your entire life and decision making to revolve around the fucking word. Come on, grow the fuck up. It's not a big deal. It's not a. It means nothing. You were taught to believe it means something. Think about it like this, and I ask this to all black people all the time. When you were a kid and you heard the word, I can't say it because I'm on the platform right now. On two, in fact. When you were a kid and you heard that word for the first time, taking the entire context of however it is you heard that word first, there's a good chance you didn't know how to respond to it. In fact, I'm kind of sure you didn't know how to respond to it. You were taught how to respond to it by usually someone else of similar hue. They taught you that it was a bad thing. They taught you to respond to it negatively. They taught you to interpret it as a bad thing. And I'm not saying it can't be. I'm not dismissing that. There are definitely people that use that word maliciously. Absolutely. Right? But in this case, where you know she's saying it out of affection, you know it's affection. Who cares? An interesting way to show affection, don't get it twisted, but it's affection nonetheless. I wouldn't worry about it. Read this question in your head and feel free to skip, Jace. I am skipping that question. Do not ask me anything about those things here. Already asked her that what's the point of marriage question. Copy me a little bit, that's funny. Great minds think alike indeed. Yeah, tight shit. Yeah, they will feel that resentment indeed. Additionally, men have to have a level of selfishness, still have a level of consideration. But your selfishness is proper in context, will also make the people around you happy. Yes. You can't help anyone be happy if you're not happy. Don't fool yourself. That idea of someone can be happy or unhappy and then because they make others happy. Bro, in fact, let me clear that right now. If your entire existence revolves around making others happy while you're not happy yourself, you're leading yourself to an early grave. Ask Heath Ledger. Ask Robin Williams. Right? A lot of comedians fall into that, by the way, that I'm thinking about. A lot of comedians off themselves. Right? And guess what? Because they were so happy making others happy and not making themselves happy, and now they've gone, now we're unhappy because they're not here anymore. Ain't that about a bitch? So all the work, right? All that attempting to make everyone else happy led to everyone feeling sorrow anyway. So what was the point? Robin Williams is not here anymore. You know how much value we're missing out on because of that? That's bullshit. We should have him still be here. He should be doing buddy cop movies with Eddie Murphy by now. What the fuck? We don't have him anymore because he was too busy trying to make us happy. He forgot to make himself happy. Bullshit. Look at Juice WRLD. You know how much amazing music we should still be having if Juice WRLD was still alive? I cringe and irk and reek of just sadness whenever I think about that death. 2 deaths in music. Juice WRLD, XXXTentacion. We will never understand what we were missing out on because those 2 are dead. Unique souls, unique designs. Amazing talent and skill level. And we'll never hear another original song from them again. Bullshit. I'm pissed off about that. Pissed off. Especially in Juice WRLD's case. Because goddamn it, man. Like, what the fuck? Mac Miller is gone. Mac fucking Miller. It was Eminem than him as far as white boy rappers were concerned. Eminem, him, everybody else. Fuck everybody else. God damn. So yeah, stop thinking that you need to sacrifice your fucking well-being for others. Others aren't good if you're not good. Straight like that. I told you. I'm giving you permission to look out for yourself. You can't serve to the best of your ability or capacity if you're not okay. Alright? Okay. What's going on, Ems? What's going on, man? I was watching a video on YouTube about subliminals and marketing, and it seemed to run around survival and replication. I get the sneaking feeling that con game deals with communication, communicating those ideas, or the threat to those ideas to people. How close am I? It's all I do. It's all I talk about. Why do you think the entire point of game is based and rooted in evolutionary psychology? It really does come down to those two basic biological imperatives. We like to think that we make decisions from a higher esoteric level, but the neocortex, the part of ourselves that we believe to make us higher beings, is built on the reptilian foundation. The reptilian brain is what gave birth to the neocortex. All right, so it always has to, you know, I don't want to say seek permission from, but you have to check with it. Like, is this leading us towards our best chance of survival or replication? Every ideology you believe in is built on that very premise. Even the things you believe to be so high level and esoteric, I promise you. Right? Because it has to be in alignment with that, or else you as a construct wouldn't exist. At least not in this physical plane. You know, your spacesuit has to be aligned as well. All right. Okay, I gotta go up. I'm doing a D2D solar right now. Walking on, hood knocking, so much overlap to cold approaching. Very, very lucrative business, by the way. Solar panel expansion and selling and stuff. Well, really good money there. So yeah, you'll learn a lot of skills with that, because that's even harder than cold approach, in my opinion. Door-to-door sales, I would say, is harder than cold approach. People go, the best way to learn sales is, cold calling. I disagree. It's one of the weakest forms of sales. The best is door-to-door. If you can do door-to-door, you can do the other ones. Because think about the premise like this. You're not just approaching someone in public. In fact, you're not approaching someone in public at all. You're approaching someone at their home of residence. There's an automatic defense mechanism that's put up because you're showing up at their doorstep. Right? So you're dealing with someone that's designed to tell you no off rip. If you can get past that, you're a fucking god. So shout out to those in D2D sales, man. You guys are the real killers, for sure. For sure. I feel like, this is how I've always thought about it, 1 year in cold approach, right, is the equivalent of like 2 months in D2D. Real talk. Real talk. Because a woman's defense is there. The mechanism is, tough enough to get through. But it's relatively easy than someone that doesn't want you to be on their porch. Especially if you look nothing like their neighbors, right? I'm talking about, socioeconomic class and race now. Right? If the only people they ever expected their door looks a certain way, and then you show up and you look a different way, oof. Now you got to get past that. How do you create rapport and similarity when you aren't similar? It's a very difficult thing to do. That takes a high level of sales. Well, a very high level of skill. Okay. Shout out to y'all. Let's see. Struggling with a girl. Nah, I genuinely, though, getting like that body was one of the best things I've ever done. Fall in love with the gym, I beg you. That's Mitsukin's talking, telling you guys to fall in love with the gym. Getting that body is one of the best things he's ever done. His words, not mine. It would be a shame for a man to go his whole life without at least once looking the best he can. Yes. At least once. Very good way to put it, too. Some people are asking for advice in the comments. Please help them as much as you can. Was a chud, but now I'm a ripped chud. You're not giving yourself enough credit. He was a chud. Now he's a goddamn Greek god. You should tell me, which, by the way, business opportunity there for you, Vince. If you really want to go into the fitness thing, I think you crush it instantly. Because you have the proof of concept right there. Show them a before picture, show them an after picture, boom, everyone's listening. Just like that. Let's see. Hey JC the GOAT, I want to know your thoughts on letting people defining you and learning to define yourself. Um, First of all, thanks for the compliment. When it comes to letting people define you, it all comes down to the boxes you're allowing yourself to be put in by other people. If you're the kind of person that genuinely feels pressure around meeting the expectation of others, you're going to be very susceptible to shit like this. Now that could come from a different, number of aspects of your reality. It could be, I don't want to go too far into that, but it can be in your very design. It can also be, and mostly for most people, it's in your environment. Not nature, but nurture. It could be, hey, what's going on, General K? How you doing, man? Salute. It could also be just the way you were raised, the way you were brought up, the unique experiences you had, and your own unique interpretation of said experiences. So it's a different number of things. But the reason ultimately you don't trust whatever identity you're trying to hold on to is because you haven't actually tested it and seen it succeed. You want to know why people become people pleasers? Because they never have the courage to stand on what they are and test it effectively and see some kind of positive response or result from it. That's why people become sheep. That's why people follow the collective, bend at the knee, whether it's with gynocentrism, whether it's with their particular brand of politics or political correctness. People do that and, try to move up the ranks, move up the hierarchy of whatever that collectivist thinking is, because they've interpreted within their own experience that it's easier to do that than to just be outside of the collective and say a different thing. Like, for instance, every single time someone like me, someone like Kanye, someone like Andrew Tate, Donald Trump has had some kind of hit piece out at them, some person make a video about them that isn't very nice, some news article, some whatever cancellation wave happens, all that's doing for the sheep is reinforcing in their heads it's not a good thing to say things that other people disagree with. It's not a good thing to say those things. It's not a good thing because look how the world hates them because of it. When in reality, most people are stupid. This is a side note, but the reason I'm very good, I'm comfortable with just saying shit that I feel and think is because I've actually gone a very long life having one experience repeating itself over and over and over again, which is most people are really bad at making decisions. So in my mind, and with the way I believe the world to work and the things I've literally seen in my life, it's a very dangerous thing to leave your decision making in the hands of others. I question everything because I can't trust motherfuckers. I can't trust most people because I've seen the quality of most people's decisions. I'm not impressed. I'll give you examples. Look at COVID. It's taken 6 years now for people to finally now realize, oh, Fauci was a fucking liar. For those of us, for those very few of us who were saying that from 2020 and we're getting called what were they calling them? What were they calling us? COVID deniers, paranoid science deniers, or whatever other word they were. All those years, 6 years, it's taken them to finally catch up and realize, oh, we were idiots. Now imagine how those people have looked to me. Because I risked employment during that time. My job kept telling me all the time, you got to take it or we're going to fire you. Fire me, fuck it. I'll keep clocking until then. I didn't get fired. Well, I eventually did for a different reason. But that was much later after that point. And I never folded. I never took the shot. Never once. Much less a booster shot. Booster shot. Booster shot. That's cute. So imagine how I've been looking at everybody in the 6 years before finally Fox and CNN had to now confirm to everyone, oh yes, actually Fauci's under investigation for lying about COVID and the severity of COVID and the strength of COVID, and he's now being held responsible for all the lives that were affected during the lockdown. Imagine how dumb y'all have looked at me for 6 years. Not yo, but you get the point, right? It's like and that's just one case, right? I can bring up so many different things. I watched how people were hating on 6ix9ine and how I was loving him the entire time, and now everyone's come around and go, oh, 6ix9ine is not a liar. He's actually a very reasonable guy. I watched. For me, it's just a matter of just waiting it out. Time, you know what I mean? Time is just time fixes all things. If you wait long enough, you'll notice how people eventually change. But for those of us who are usually early to the game, it just kind of goes a certain way. So for me, I don't trust the decision making of most people. Hell, I've learned to not even trust my own decision making that much until I go through a very rudimentary steps that I have to conquer, that I have to go through. I have a routine system that I built for myself for decision making, right? So I don't even trust myself until I go through that. And I know most people are not meticulous enough to have a system like that for themselves. Why the fuck, even if they have more numbers, even if they have more, a bigger army behind it, why the fuck would I trust these motherfuckers? I've learned not to. My entire life has taught me over and over and over and over again. Do not trust most people. They're idiots. And I'm saying that as humbly as I can. I know I'm an idiot. I know I'm a moron. I know I'm crazy. That's why I have, again, that system for decision making in place to keep me in check. I just don't trust other people because I know they don't have a decision making system like that. That's why they say dumb shit and do dumb shit and then regret it years later. Oh, if I had known. But we were telling you though. But you did though. You did know though. Why are you acting like? Anyway, my little rant aside, you do get the point though, right? You do get the point. Most people are not good decision makers. So making a decision based off of what they have to say about yourself and your identity is just about the dumbest, most pathetically dangerous thing you can do for yourself. They don't know. They don't know. They don't know. So it's useless to me to be like, oh, I have to. What other people have to say holds so little weight to me. So little weight. All right. So yeah, I suggest that's how you should live your life too. It's very important. Let's see. Blink twice if I'm on track. That's funny. Analyze. Oh, you're a dumb one. Just learn firsthand not to make anything a big deal, by the way. What's up? I do Neonix. Does hypnosis work translated to another language? It works even better if you translate it to the core language that you use as the model to understand the world. There's a saying in Nigeria that God answers prayers faster when you use your native language to speak in your prayer. It's scientific more than anything. It's not just a spiritual thing. Like if you're Yoruba or you're Igbo and you speak and you exclusively pray in Yoruba or Igbo, the prayer is answered faster, more than likely. Because one, even if English is your first language, English is not one of the ancient text languages. It's a derivative of an ancient language. English comes originally from Latin, right? So it doesn't hit to the core of your subconscious as hard or as quickly as the core languages. African languages, pretty much all of them are core languages, or just one-off derivatives of the core language, but still very close to it. Yoruba in itself, Yoruba, Igbo, Hausa, core languages. Ishan, Efik, Fulani, Calabar, core languages. So you're literally speaking to this algorithm and the God that created it with the exact same language as those who discovered the algorithm. You're using the very original code, if you will. And again, not on some spiritual, like, forget the spiritual aspect to it. Yes, there is a massive spiritual aspect to it, but I don't even want you to focus on that right now. Focus on the mechanics. Simply look at it like a scientist, right? On a scientific level, you're able to go deeper into your unconscious because you're using words from a language where the rules don't create a separation between the meaning of the word and the word itself. English is fucked up like that because of that, by the way. You can have one word mean different things. That's a very dangerous thing. Like I could rant about this for another 3 hours if y'all want me to. I probably won't because I have the other questions to get to. But English is so limited when it comes to like certain things you have to do with regards to understanding the mind, the human unconscious, because of the very nature of the system of English. It's very, very crooked, if you will. So yeah, native languages. Use them. Very important. And by the way, this is not just if you're like, African. I'm African. I attract a few Africans, obviously. But if you're not African or anything like that, it still remains. If you're white or European, go learn fucking Dutch. Go learn, Swiss. Go learn, one of them native languages. Go learn Arabic if you're Middle Eastern. Go learn Punjab if you're Indian. Go learn Hindi. Go learn, anything that doesn't require extra steps, if you will. Ill, my sickness makes me ugly. I have been cold approaching. What kind of illness do you have, my friend? Read boxes on game and videos. I'm sorry. Been boxing for a few months, and holy shit, if anything, I underestimated how confident MAs make you. Martial arts, yes. I always tell you guys, one of the quickest routes to like instant boost in confidence is learning how to fight. A lot of you walk around like victims in the world without realizing. Not of your own fault. It's not a fault of your own, but you literally, legitimately walk around like a victim because there's a part of you that believes there are things you can't get away with. And martial arts is what makes you realize you can. The level of confidence martial arts gives you is ridiculous. Especially when you understand the gap in skill between you as a beginner. I was talking to someone about this recently. The whole, what's his name? Jonah Hill. Jonah Hill was on, I think, one of these late night talk shows, and he picked up jiu-jitsu recently, and I think he's got a couple stripes on his white belt. Shout out to him, by the way. Good stuff. I hope he's training under someone that's actually making him go through the proper, steps and whatnot. But I would believe he is. He's losing weight. That's one of the first signs someone is training martial arts. They begin to drop weight like crazy because you're forcing your body to learn movements it's not used to. So it's going to expend a lot more energy, right? Until you learn how energy conservation works. Anyway, he's on this talk show. He's just talking about, I will fuck you up. Like, he's talking to people, like the host, whoever it was, whether it was Jimmy Fallon or Jimmy Kimmel, whatever. And he was like, I'll fuck you up. I can fight. Literally, I will fuck up the average person. And everyone is just like laughing. And I even saw the reason we're talking about it is because there was some videos of some people being like, well, Jonah Hill is just a fat this and that. He can't fuck anybody up, blah, blah. And it's like, you got to go take your first jiu-jitsu class. I'm not going to sit here and put my money on Jonah Hill against just anybody. I don't think he can beat just anybody. He might believe he can, but I don't think he can. But can Jonah Hill handle his own on the ground against the average person? As a white belt with a few stripes on it, at jiu-jitsu, yes. I'll put my life savings on that shit. Because the average person who doesn't train martial arts doesn't understand the gap in skill between them and the person that's even gone to train jiu-jitsu for just a month. They don't understand it. I always say, I say the story every single time. I have a 6'2" black guy. Right? I weigh over 200 pounds. My first time in jiu-jitsu was 2021. Right? I got my ass whooped on my first day by a 5'5" Mexican with a chubby belly. Destroyed. Multiple times. He had fun with it. It was very humiliating. But best believe my ass was back in that class the next day because after getting my ass whooped like that, I had to go in the corner and think to myself, how the fuck did that happen? Here I am thinking I'm the biggest, strongest, whatever. My strength didn't matter. Oh, I'm so strong, I'm Nigerian. Didn't matter. I got my ass choked out multiple times. Couldn't do shit about it. So I had to ask myself in humility, like, okay, how the fuck did this happen? How did this happen? And once I started figuring out the technique and the science behind it, it's like, oh shit. Oh, there's like a skill here. Like there's a whole knowledge, a wealth of knowledge behind it. And there's a system to it. Holy shit. It made me realize how vulnerable I was walking around the world up to that point. I didn't realize it until then. One of the best decisions I ever made in my life. You know what I mean? So yeah, absolutely. Martial arts is a beast. Please go learn some martial arts. Just I got this girl who was essentially scared of. Oh, I already read that one. I asked a woman in 1 to 10 how crazy she was on Hinge, and she said, "Why? Because I'm a woman of color." It's funny because you're only getting that response because you're white. If I asked that question, they would just answer playfully. But see, this is what I'm saying. Like, race gets in the way of fucking everything, bro. Because I don't believe in that construct. I don't subscribe to it. But other people do. And it gets in the fucking way. It does. It fucking does. It's annoying. Right? You're only getting that response because you're white. That's the only reason. It's you're talking to a girl of a different color. Which, that's my boy Peter. He's one of my students. He kills it. Honestly, I don't think I've ever really seen Peter with a white girl, to be honest. But Peter does his thing. And he's decided recently he's gonna go into a specific kind of, woman of color. And yeah, these particular kind of women, they are the most sensitive type. Let's just put it that way. And because of that, when you talk to them, they're always gonna have the race thing front and center in their mind. It just gets in the way. It gets in the way. You know what I mean? It's annoying. Jace, can I use hypnosis to make myself more of a risk taker? Absolutely. Absolutely. You just gotta be careful with it. The problem with most people is that they don't understand how to learn hypnosis in vacuums. Right? Hypnosis is a very powerful thing because you're implanting an idea in your subconscious and you're letting it sit there and grow. The problem is people like to use hypnosis for one thing, but they don't understand that if you don't place it in a vacuum properly, it ends up spilling into other areas naturally. Like, you might think to yourself, I want to make myself a bigger risk taker with this particular thing, right? With this particular aspect or area or areas of my life. But then that same risk taking ability begins to show up in other places where it's not as useful. See? So be careful how you learn hypnosis. You learn to learn hypnosis in vacuums. Alright. Once you get alright. Easy to the gym once you get hey JC, I don't know. What plane is she running away from or pain, sorry. What pain is she running away from or pleasure she's trying to run towards its bars? Exactly. Whenever you want to text a girl, you have to ask yourself, what pain is she running away from? What pleasure is she running towards? The incentive is everything. I've also heard girls literally say, there's something so sick and hot about fucking someone's boyfriend. Yeah, the forbidden fruit syndrome. A classic Adam and Eve thing. It's the fruit is sweeter because you're not supposed to be eating it. That's pretty much it. The fruit is sweeter because you're not supposed to be eating it. I really like how you explain it when you say we have a body on this physical plane. Can you possibly go more in depth with the different planes of existence beyond just the 3D? Absolutely. So we have the physical, we have the spiritual, we have every single aspect of us is its own world, if you will. And we have our different degrees of navigating these different worlds. We have a physical plane that we interact with the most. We have the metaphysical plane / spiritual plane, if you want to call it that. Some people call it the frequency plane. That also helps. I think of those two things as different, though, because of the rules that exist between them. Which, by the way, is another thing. The different planes are separated not just by experience, but by law. They all have different, some similar, but mostly slightly different laws that govern them, right? There's the emotional plane. I would like to think of it as having a social plane as well. There is a virtual plane. I'm talking to you guys through social media. Whether we like it or not, whether we want to believe it or not, this is now a world on its own. It is. It is a world on its own. And there are rules that govern it, and there's a code of conduct and rules of engagement. and there's all these different laws that, whether we like it or not, we abide by on these planes, right? I can't say certain words on this live that I can say in the physical plane whenever I want, that I wouldn't even think to use in the spiritual. Does that make sense? So yeah, what separates these planes are the worlds, the laws that exist in these worlds. Okay. Like go to hypnotist. Okay, if you go to the hypnotist, they probably know what they're doing. That's fine too. Be careful though. You're leaving yourself vulnerable to a stranger. Be very careful. Oh yeah, I should make you mod by now, shouldn't I? I know it's you. I've always known it's you. Cam, I just never knew that I hadn't made you a. There we go. Now you have mod abilities. Use this power to the best of your ability. Don't use it to. Don't use it to break the laws of God or violate the rights of others. Right? Okay. Let's see. By the way, the boot camp. I already read that one. How to navigate with a woman who makes a lot more money than me. It doesn't matter. Now you have access to resources that you didn't directly earn. Perfect. Yay. Again, anything you make a big deal becomes a big deal. You think it's a big deal because you think it's a big deal. You've made it a big deal in your head that she makes more money than you. Every girl I've dated since, I want to say 2018, has made more money than me. At some point in time or the other. Does that make sense? Like, I usually meet them making more money than me, and then I figure out how to make more money than them. That's usually how it goes. That's usually how it's going for me. So, I mean, especially if you want to elevate yourself in this life, you're going to have to put yourself in rooms that make you feel uncomfortable and run into people that make you feel like you don't belong. And then the game becomes how to belong. That's the point. So, yeah, she makes more money than you, perfect. Now you can use her as a means to have access to things and people and places that you ordinarily wouldn't if you didn't have her in your corner. It's a good thing. It's not a bad thing. You know, people shit on social climbers a lot, but they have it right, dude. They understand the point of this game. Social climbing is a thing. You should do it. You should use it. Now, as a man, you can't just like social climb because people like you. You can't do what women do to social climb. There has to be value behind it. There has to be some tangible results you can show behind it. But yeah, for the most part, you need to build a network, man. And that starts with running into people that are in better, more privileged positions than you. Simple. There was this girl I was talking to that refused to shake my hand a second time because she has a boyfriend. She shook your hand the first time. What's the issue with the second time? Did you tell her that you wanted to stick something in her? I did the regular thing, shook her hand when she was asking for her name, and we got to talking. Even had, it's the way some people think, or what's the thing you'd say? Oh, my bad, that's a different person. I mean, she said she had a boyfriend. That means you probably telegraphed interest too soon. If you're getting that reaction, you're probably telegraphing interest too soon. That's what it looks like to me. What's the thing you'd say someone needs to graduate from intermediate to advanced? It depends on every person. It's slightly different for most people. But I think the major thing for most people and the major sign to look out for is their willingness to make mistakes or their willingness to be in a bad position. When you're a beginner, you're scared of making mistakes. In fact, you don't even want to start because you're scared of making mistakes. When you're intermediate, you know how to bypass making mistakes. When you're advanced, you don't care about making mistakes because you know you can recover from it anyway. Right? So the relationship with mistake making is, I would say, the major difference between beginner, intermediate, and advanced. That I would think is the major difference. I'm at the point now where I don't really like the guys who are online, the red pill guys especially, coming up here and telling you like, never do this with a woman, never do that with a woman. Don't the guys who make it sound like there are mistakes you can make with women that you can't recover from, dead giveaway they're beginners. Dead giveaway. Being advanced is knowing you can come up from any mistake. Now, is it worth it to come back from every mistake? No. Some are definitely more time and energy consuming than others. I would not recommend. But To say that you can't come back, impossible. Stupid. You can come back from every mistake. It just depends on how much work you're willing to put into it, and if it's even going to be worth it for you. You know what I mean? I don't care about making mistakes because I know I can come back from it anyway. That's advanced. And because it's like jiu-jitsu. Right? It's like martial arts. I always say when you want to train martial arts, and I get this from Gordon Ryan, and I'm happy I found this information when I was starting out myself. When you want to learn in jiu-jitsu, the best way to learn jiu-jitsu is to start out learning how to escape. Escape positions, escape unfavorable positions, escape submission attempts. Escape. Learn how to escape the armbar. Learn how to escape the rear naked choke. Learn how to escape the heel hooks and the knee bars and the cranks and the arces and the Americanas and the Hurricanas and the omoplatas. Learn how to escape submission attempts. That's like the first month of you as a white belt. When you have the ability to escape the positions, now you have the confidence to take the risks you need to advance your positions. Because advancing positions, going for submissions, that requires you to expose yourself to risk. How can you have the confidence to take those risks if you don't know how to mitigate them as they happen? You see the point? So, the same thing with game. If you know how to get back from any bad situation, you won't be scared to take the kind of risks you need to make amazing things happen in a short period of time. Right? So yeah, that I would say that's the major definition. I feel like me and Fish have a final exam on the brink of that, where our game is so good that it's causing women to be too emotionally overwhelmed too soon, causing almost like a positive version of buyer's remorse after the fact. That's funny. But that also means like you're too focused on the impact, and which is cool. I mean, you obviously get way more success than the average person doing that. But you're too focused on the impact. You're beginning to lose your social calibration. There shouldn't be any semblance of regret or remorse when talking to a woman. If anything, that shows like a real, honestly, it shows a real problem with like your ability to calibrate correctly. If you're calibrating correctly and you have the correct amount of playfulness with it, there should be no remorse. Even when you don't advance or the woman doesn't want to go forward, it shouldn't be like, I feel uneasy. It should be more like, this is too intense, or, this is, I don't see how I can keep this guy interested. He's too good for me. So yeah. Mostly online, by the way. Oh, you got to test this out, in person. I mean, you guys are already doing that, so you didn't even tell you that. It's the way some people think Jesus was a virgin, because I personally don't think he was. We can talk about that if you guys want to talk about that. Was Jesus a virgin or not? I'm gonna tell you right now the logic behind it. The reason people think Jesus was a virgin is because, one, he was born of a virgin, which I don't see a correlation between that. But two, they also believe it because they believe that he needed to be a pure, he couldn't be unclean. He had to be a pure soul to do what he did, which is sacrifice his life for the sake of mankind, for the sake of the reconciliation of mankind to God. The problem with that kind of thinking is that it dirties up sex. It makes sex look like a fundamentally evil thing that once you partake in it, you're unclean. Right? Even the idea of like premarital sex and stuff, like, oh, the moment you partake in premarital sex, you're unclean, as if the Bible ever mentions that anywhere. No one can actually pull out a single scripture that says that. That's a man-made rule that your pastors tell you, but it's not real. Right? I'm not deconstructing marriage that it's a bad thing. I'm just saying marriage and sex only become synonymous when you allow your pastor to tell you this. In the Bible, those two things are actually like very opposite. Right? Noah wasn't married to his daughters when they got with him to repopulate the earth. God saw that. God allowed it. Sons came out of that. Those sons went on to create sons that created sons that became amazing prophets that God used. What about that? Something to think about. You don't have to take my word for it. You just go read your own Bible. If you're a Christian listening. Hold on. Am I over here? Oh, yeah, never mind. Hey brother, do you ever stray away from God? And if you do, how do you find your way back to Him? Um, the way. Okay, let's talk about what straying from God looks like actually. A lot of people, again, we're just. It's a perfect segue from what we were talking about before, right? A lot of people think straying away from God means that you. Uh, they reduce straying away from God to not following certain rules, right? Or they just associate a lot of unnecessary guilt and shame to their inability to follow certain rules. In reality, what straying from God actually looks like is like, I was talking about this in the last live. The moment Jesus was hanging on the cross and God turned his back on him and he said, my Father, why are you forsaking me? Now, you wouldn't call that a straying because Jesus didn't necessarily do anything on purpose to leave God's presence. But the point is, the straying, what's important about it, the most important aspect of it, is the separation. Not the guilt you feel for breaking a rule. It's the inability to hear God's voice anymore. It's the inability to get fresh signal from heaven. It's the inability to tap into infinite intelligence anymore. That's straying. That's what you should be concerned about, right? And usually that only happens. And this is when you're asking me, do I ever do it? This is the correct way to answer that question. That only ever happens when you put something else above God. What straying from God looks like. See, this is the fucked up thing about religious dogma. I have to explain everything. When I say making something else more important to you than God, I'm not talking about how religiously you attend church and read your Bible. It's beyond that. The Bible says, seek ye first the kingdom of God. Seek ye first the kingdom. That's a verb, seek. That's a priority, first. And what is it? The kingdom. Seek ye first the kingdom. Anything you're doing that doesn't lead you into understanding of, or fellowship with, or companionship with God, or the things of God, or the character of God, is, like, again, something I was talking about very recently. There's a reason throughout the Old Testament, there's a massive emphasis God keeps giving the children of Israel to keep Him first. And people think it's because they say God is a jealous God. It's like, yeah, that's part of it, but it's not really the main reason. The main reason is to eliminate any other thing as a priority. The priority should also always come back to what is the nature of God? How does God operate? That should always be the priority. Anytime you make anything else the priority, that is a strain. That's what a lot of Christians don't understand. They think because they read their Bible and go to church, they're not straying. They're straying because a lot of these people put other things as their God. Maybe it's Sunday night football. Maybe it's the job that they're doing, the money they're making. Maybe it's their relationship and keeping their wife happy. All right, we're just talking about not putting the kids first. A lot of you worship your own kids over your God. You do, and you see it in your behavior, by the way. Don't look at me like I'm saying something wrong. Don't be mad at me for being the messenger. You spend more time with your children, with your wife, with your whoever, than you do actually trying to know and understand the nature and the workings of God. That's strange. And the worst part is when you do pick up a Bible, you're doing it performatively. You're not studying the Word. You're not trying to understand on a practical level how to apply the principles you're reading into your life. You're just doing it because you think you have to. It's routine, mundane routine. That's strange. That's strange. Now the question becomes, what does it look like to seek God first? What does that actually look like on a practical level? I'll tell you. If the Bible says, seek ye first the kingdom of God, and then also says, Jesus in particular says, the kingdom is within you, then guess what? Understanding the design gives you a better idea of the designer. You want to see God? Understand you, because you are his greatest creation. The clues are all in there. That might be the most important thing you've ever heard in your life. You don't even know it. And I didn't even say it, it just came out. Seek ye first the kingdom of God within you, right? Because the more you understand you, the more you can decipher the face of God. Know thyself to know God. Thank you, Karen. Know thyself to know God. It has to come back to you. And Christians, by the way, these low self-esteem ass Christians will argue up and down that this is somehow a bad thing or a sin, when Jesus himself kept saying that over and over and over. Read your Bible. Read your Bible. Matthew, Mark, Luke, John. Matthew, Mark, Luke, John. Go and look at how Jesus operated. All he did was point a mirror to us. Yourself. Mirror. Why do you think he was doing that? Why was the focus always you? An entire speech about blessed are those who are this, blessed are those who are that. Why did it always come back to you? That's all he ever did is tell you about yourself. Because that's the most important thing to do. Understand you. The man told us to do that. The man God, the God man, told us to do that. So what excuse do you have? I know I just ruffled a bunch of feathers. A lot of people got to go home and sit on that one. Think about that one. They gotta reconcile a lot of false beliefs they've been programmed with all this time and wrestle with it. Right? I get it. Take your time. It took me a while too, but once you see this and know this, life becomes so much easier. The troubles don't go away. The problems don't get automatically solved. But now you move with them with grace and faith and calm and peace. Right? That's why Jesus was pissed off when he woke up. When they woke him up from the boat and told him, oh, the boat is about to capsize the storm. And he was more concerned that he got woken up than the actual storm. You don't get to that level of control and authority if you don't know what you carry. You don't even know yourself. I had a debate with someone, let me piss people off even more since I'm already on the way to doing it. I had a debate with someone recently about astrology, the use and utility of astrology in the Christian faith and stuff like that. And he pulled out a scripture, Deuteronomy 4:19. God said we shouldn't divination. And I had to explain to bro, like, okay, first of all, read the entire chapter. God was talking to a very specific people at a very specific time for a very specific purpose. The slave-minded people from Moses that we're talking about, right? If you have a child that is so indisciplined that it will stick anything it sees on the floor in its mouth, you don't teach that child the nuance of what to and what not to eat. You just tell that child, stop eating. Don't eat unless I give you something. Because that's the way you got to treat that level of discipline in an individual that is not complex high enough to understand nuance. Right? This is why I feel sorry for people that try to follow the rules that God gave in the Old Testament to the children of Israel in the desert after they came out of Egypt. Because you're literally you're seeing a conversation between a God and a very dumb people. That's why I was always frustrated with them. A very not advanced people. So he gave them all these very simple to follow rudimentary rules to protect them from themselves. And here's the irony to that scripture, Deuteronomy 4:19. The very end of that scripture literally says, the beginning of it, before that point, it says, the reason why God told them not to seek soothsayers or read the stars or anything like that, because they were not to learn from other nations that they would run into. That was always God's concern, by the way. With Solomon marrying a bunch of wives, God wasn't mad he married a bunch of wives. It was, don't marry wives from those lands that worship other deities, because they will corrupt your knowledge. Same thing in the desert. Don't listen to the soothsayers or the divinators or whatever, because they come with their own practices and understandings to worship their own goofy ass gods. Put me first, the kingdom. And then the last part of that verse, Deuteronomy 4:19, literally states, I'm not even kidding, you go check for yourself. After mentioning the reading of the stars, it literally says, the stars, sun, and moon that were placed in the heavens for all men. That were, the wording is not even placed. It's placed, the word is allotted in most translations. Allotted means to distribute and to assign. How ironic. The one scripture motherfucker pulled out to prove like astrology should not be, it's not useful, literally proves in it that it is part of the blueprint. How ironic. And don't even get me started on literally the entire astrology. Bruh, you want to talk about Jesus Christ and astrology? You want to talk about that? Want me to piss y'all off some more? I can do that. I'll do that right now. You will not be happy if you're a Bible-thumping Christian that doesn't actually read the Bible. You do realize the books, Matthew, Mark, Luke, and John, are 4 zodiac signs in a certain order, right? It's the same accounts written in all 4 books, but from the aspect of different astrological signs. You know that, right? You know that's been known since Orthodox Christian history. Like, this is a very well-known thing. I called Jesus a Pisces in the last live. People were mad at me. Did you know that before the cross became the symbol of Christianity, it was a fish? You don't have to believe what I'm saying, by the way. Google these things. Google everything I'm saying. Do your own research. See if I'm lying. Before we started wearing crosses to signify that we are followers of the divine nature of Christ, the symbol was a fish. Y'all didn't know that? Y'all didn't know that? I said it in the last live. There's a reason almost every fish army, shout out to you. Yes, indeed. There's a reason every, not every, but a good portion of the miracles Jesus performed were always fish related or water related. You think that's an accident? In Jungian psychology, the fish is a symbol of the unconscious, by the way, resembling Christ. Thank you. Shout out to Carl Jung. Y'all ain't ready for these conversations. I'm just gonna have them and see who comes with. Go Google these things. Every cathedral in, I think from the medieval ages of England till now, that understood the zodiac configuration of the 4 books of the Gospel of Jesus Christ, understood the order. I'm not gonna say what the order is. I'm gonna let y'all go do the research on that. I'm tired of talking. Seek ye first the kingdom of God. It doesn't say seek Jason to help you seek it. Seek ye first the kingdom of God. Go figure it out. And then we need speed right now. Like, I'm tired of waiting. I'm tired of sugarcoating shit and, you know, oh, I have to say it like this because no, like, the time is, we don't have as much time as we think we do. Shit is happening. 2027 is around the corner. A lot of crazy changes coming up by the end of this year into the next year. And this is the preparation time. This is the reset time before things properly kick off next year. We have things to do. Every calendar, every ancient calendar literally points to the next year. Like, come on. Come on. We perish because the enemy knows more than we do. Come on now. Come on. Come on. I don't have patience anymore. I really don't. It's too much shit to go through for me to still be talking about the basics right now. Come on. Come on. Let's go. Let's go. Let's go. All right, that's my rant. I can't go too deeply as I want to on these lives because you know how these social media platforms work. Plus, I gotta go soon. Oof. I had to go 20 minutes ago. Goddamn. Shit. Okay. I'm gonna do some more, and then I gotta bounce. I have to bounce. I have to bounce. Let's see. By the way, I joined a wrestling gym, and I'm gonna focus on it for the next 1 or 2 years in my MMA journey. Yes, you should. Shout out to you. Try to see if you can join anything that has some kind of samba influence in there, because it'll help you translate the wrestling skills directly into MMA. The problem with wrestling is that there's a lot of habits, bad habits that you learn in wrestling that don't translate well for MMA. For instance, wrestlers have a really bad habit of exposing their back when it comes to dealing with jiu-jitsu practitioners. Wrestling doesn't help you account for protecting your back for some reason. Well, it makes sense. The idea is to not get on your back in wrestling, but that just means free eats for anyone that knows jiu-jitsu, right? Sinking rear naked chokes anyhow you want. Also, Jace bit random, but me and you are both 9 life path. Thoughts on that? That makes sense. Every single person I attract in my realm is similar to me to some degree. Which, by the way, I don't know if you, Karam and Fish. I'm gonna send all that in the group chat later, so you'll see what I'm talking about. I put in the next upgrade for what needs to be talked about in the group. We'll talk about that, okay? Talk about that. And if y'all want to get weird with me, my school group, school community, link in bio, go crazy. Don't don't allow your mind to explode from the things you see in there. It will require some digging. It's a lot of content in there. So, yeah, go crazy. Hey, brother, do you ever stay... Oh, I already read that one. A Narasai type shit, too. I Narasai. What's going on, brother chicken? Thoughts on... What is that? Marcus Shawluster, dude? I don't know who that is. I have no... Marcus Hollister? Is that what I'm reading? I don't know who that is. Who's that? Drop a PUA in Hollywood series where you win over the finest ebook girls and take their cash. That I don't even think game can help you with that. Separating an ebook girl from the cash? Nah, I don't even think game can help you with that. I'm just kidding. Yes, it can. How do you deal with women shy to go on a date out of too much attraction? Assurance. Whenever the issue is that she thinks she can't keep up with you or she likes you too much, always assurance. The reason she doesn't want to go is because she thinks it's a risk to go. Take away the risk, give her assurance. You want me to hit Cynthia up again, call her the blue? Nah, send her me. Also, I have a problem with self-amusing whenever I get bored, but the girl still feels high tension. That's not a problem. If anything, the problem would be not asking for proper compliance afterwards, you know? Why the fuck did Conor try a flying kick in his first fight back? Because he was trying to replicate a feeling, an energy. All old men fall victim to this particular concept, unfortunately. They try to relive the glory days. It's unfortunate because it's the logical thing to do, it just didn't work for him. Conor's best performance is, in my opinion, the Cowboy Cerrone performance. I don't think there's ever been a better Conor than that. Cowboy Cerrone was a great one, and it's my favorite one. I should say. Some people would argue it's the Alvarez one. Some people would argue it's the Jose one, the Mendez one. I think it's the Cowboy Cerrone one. But no matter which one you pick as his best performance, they all have the same elements to them. A certain, let's just say, certain steps, certain rituals he underwent before he had those victories. And in every single one of those ones, he came out like a fucking bat out of hell. Every single one of those fights started with him taking control of the center line, of the center of the cage, immediately, and throwing something out there that is so unorthodox and so powerful. And the Cowboy Cerrone one, I think he threw his left hand, like he nearly threw his own shoulder out, throwing that left hand, how hard he threw it, you know. And all the other ones too, the same thing, massive swings to begin with. So that's like his calling card. That's his, this is my cage. I come out here and I fight, this is my cage. That's his, like, you know, his signature, his stamp on the fight. And it helps. I understand it. I understand the point of it. It helps to like give him a sense of control in there because you know it's chaotic in there. It's crazy in there. But he tried to do it with this with the Max fight, and he blew out his knee because his body wasn't ready to do it. We can get into like I already made a video about this, like the connection between his mind and his knees and why they had to blow out the way they did. They just had to. So you know, it is what it is. Pops, Pops. That's another terrible death. We finally had our generation's version of 50 Cent. That motherfucker, terrible. Jace to the world would be a hard boot camp name type shit. They probably would. How to bag successful women. The same way you bag regular women, just without the survival bias in there, right? Successful women are not much different than regular women, except for the fact that they are not willing to comply just for the sake of their survival because they're not in survival. So yeah, it's game is game regardless. You gotta establish higher, psychological authority, ask for compliance, create an opportunity for tension, and make things happen. Bro, did you hear the big news? What's the big news? I fear that with that Cynthia, I gave her too much too fast, maybe. That's why we haven't spoke in 2 or 3 weeks or so, because we would hang out every 2 to 3 days. So even I felt drained of her. I mean, yeah, the separation is a good thing, and actually, you can state that overtly. Like, listen, I realized that we probably blew our gasket the first time around. This time, let's slow down. Fish drowned in the water. That's funny. That's ironic and funny. Can we have this live uploaded as well? Yes. Jace, why isn't there more people like you that explain dating in a more scientific way and a non-biased way? Because most people aren't willing to do the work, unfortunately. It takes work to do what I do. It takes precision and a very high level of the skill of pattern recognition. Most people don't have that. It takes a while to train, But yeah, they're doing the best they can, I guess, for what they believe they're doing. Barcelona training game. Oh yeah, type shit. I heard about that. You guys told me about that last time. Let's see. Discussing the best sales technique door-to-door versus cold calling. Door-to-door. Already talked about that. Alright, I gotta go. I can't make, there's like 81 more messages here. I'm sorry. I can't make all of them happen. I can't. I'm sorry. The fish means enlightenment, people. Yes, it does. Yes, it does. That's why a lot of Gnostics believe that Jesus was all about the gnosis. And they're not wrong. They're not all the way right, but they're not wrong. That was definitely an aspect of him. The main part, and this is where I kind of disagree with the Gnostics, is that they believe he was just a man that was here to enlighten others. And that's part of it. But the death and resurrection is the most important part of Christianity. And if you break the veil to the other side, every being on that side agrees that happened. I'm talking too much. I cannot say that joke out loud, Karim. You're trying to get me in trouble. All right, I gotta bounce. I gotta go. I love you guys. I appreciate you guys. Thanks for staying with me the entire time. This has been very fun for me. This has been very fun, and hopefully enlightening for you as well. I love when we come around and we do all these things, and we get really specific and very, detailed. I like to be very meticulous and conscientious about what I do. So I hope that shows in the way I answer your questions, and I hope that also helps you to improve in your daily lives and in the skills you're learning, and in the quality of questions that you come with me on words from now on, right? Like I can see even from the last live till now, the quality of questions have just improved greatly. So that means we're definitely on the same wavelength. I love that so much. Thank you so much for being with me. Next time I'll be here, today is, I'll try to get here tomorrow. Today is Wednesday, right? I'll try my best to be here tomorrow. If I can't make it tomorrow, I'll definitely be here on Friday. Definitely. But yeah, I love you guys. I appreciate you guys. It's your Jace Favorite Scientist. do with all this information? What must be done? Oh, and if you're on YouTube watching this, do all the things. Like, subscribe, save this for later. And if you don't have it yet, get the interview. All that good stuff. Love you. See you. Look at my description for everything you need. Bye-bye.